character of the Mets. They don't give up. They hang in every game. They'll come back almost any time.
How about these apples? The Mets come back again.
Tigers Stadium is rich in tradition. It's been home to some of the all-time greats like Ty Cobb, Hank Greenberg, and Al Kaline. They've all been the toast of the Motor City at one time or another. And tonight, interleague play continues. Emerging stars like Todd Hundley of the Mets and Detroit's Tony Clark race to do battle in the oldest park in baseball. This is one of the most historic sights in all of baseball, Tigers Stadium in Detroit. Tonight, for the first time in regular season play, it'll be the New York Mets and the Detroit Tigers from Detroit. Hi again, everyone. I'm Howie Rose along with Fran Healy. Well, here's a little more of something new. The Mets and the Tigers as interleague play begins round 2. Recently, the Mets played the Red Sox and the Yankees, and later in the season, the Mets will face the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays. But interleague play has been the talk of baseball this summer, particularly in American League cities, and that's why the Americans with a 12-win advantage so far, and those hostilities will brew a little further next week. A week from tomorrow night, the All-Star Game will take place in Cleveland. But Fran, yesterday the Mets coming from behind dramatically to take the series in Pittsburgh.
Yes, they did, Howie. 9 runs in 3 innings. The Mets are red hot with their offense, and this is the place to be with the red hot offense. Tiger Stadium in Detroit, a great hitter's ballpark, and the Mets have to take advantage of the Tigers because they are in the division with the Atlanta Braves, and there's no room for breathing in the Eastern Division of the National League.
The Mets will face a young left-hander and a tough one tonight. Justin Thompson for Detroit, Mark Clark for the Mets. We'll have the first pitch from Detroit right after these messages.
New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you by the Coors Light Wide Mouth Can. Tap the Rockies with a smoother pour. By Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary. By Nobody Beats the Wiz. For state-of-the-art home electronics, computers, cameras, music, movies, and more, nobody beats the Wiz. And by your Tri-State GMC dealers.
Consider that the New York Mets came into the National League in 1962, and they had been playing ball on this site for more than 50 years, more than that. Bobby Valentine, of course, doesn't go all that far back, but Bobby did play in the National League and the American League, playing in this ballpark when he was a member of the California Angels, and he enjoys the fact that you get a chance to see some of these places that so many of us have only seen on TV. The thing that Bobby was talking about before is that you can get in trouble not only if you're the manager, but anybody in those dugouts, because it's such a low bridge. And he once was ejected in this ballpark. He jumped up. He beamed himself, basically. He hit the top of his head against the roof of the dugout, then went out to argue. So it was thrown out and knocked out all in one altercation.
It's like the old Comiskey Park. Terrible dugouts to watch a ball game from. It's a terrible vantage point for managers, even to go out and argue. It's very small. How about the clubhouses? They have not changed the clubhouse here, the visitors' clubhouse, in many, many years. It's just incredible how small the clubhouse is here in Detroit for the visiting team.
And how close the broadcast booth is to home plate. If Fran and or I go off the air for any length of time tonight, you'll know why. It'll be a foul ball back this way. The Met lineup, Fran, brought to you by GMC.
All right, Howie. Lance Johnson leads it off. He'll be followed by Edgardo Alfonzo and then Bernard Gilkey. The middle 3, Todd Hundley, Butch Husky, and Carl Everett. The bottom 3, Carlos Baerga, Alex Ochoa, and then Luis Lopez.
Lance Johnson in to lead off, and he pops the first pitch up. That's the shortstop, Davy Cruz, for the first out of the ball game. The new Dodge will give you the Detroit defense. As you look at Tony Clark, the first baseman, Damian Easley at second, Cruz at short, Travis Fryman at third, and in the outfield, Bobby Higginson, Brian Hunter, a former Astro, Melvin Nieves, the right fielder, Raul Casanova catches the left-hander, Justin Thompson.
He's going to be a good one. Everybody's very high on Thompson.
Outside to Alfonso.
You know, we talk about how it's the first time the Mets played the Tigers. Well, most of these players have seen each other, whether it was in the minor leagues or in exhibition baseball or in winter ball. But they have seen these players. And then if you haven't seen, for example, you haven't faced Justin Thompson, whoever did, we'll talk about him. Of course, Bobby Valentine also has video.
Alfonso hits it in the air the other way, and Nieves just waits. 2 quick outs here in the Mets' first. American League umpires, as there are in all of the American League ballparks when interleague play is in place. Larry McCoy has the plate, Terry Kraft at first, Chuck Merriweather at second, and Jim Evans at third. And another new twist, at least for Bernard Gilkey, who faces Justin Thompson as the designated hitter. And he takes on the outside corner for strike 1. I asked Bernard how he felt about it before the game, and he had a smile, and some silence followed that for a few seconds because he was trying to figure out at least exactly how to articulate it.
I don't think any player wants to be a designated hitter. You always want to go out and show that you can be a complete player. Clearly, designated hitters are not considered complete players, and of course, we all know Gilkey is an outstanding outfielder. Tonight, Everett's in left field, Ochoa is in right field.
2 balls and a strike on Bernard. And he fouls it back.
Maybe Bobby Valentine felt it was a way to rest Gilkey, not putting him in the outfield. Of course, Olerud's not in the lineup tonight against the southpaw. Although Bobby Valentine wanted to give him a day off, he said.
Well, yeah, I asked him before the game, and he had an interesting response. 2-2 to Gilkey. They'll check the swing at first, and he's punched out by Terry Kraft. So you'll have to sit in suspended animation in anticipation of Bobby's response as to why John Olerud is not in the lineup tonight.
Well, you're looking at Bernard Gilkey, who's a designated hitter in tonight's ball game. I'm sure he's wondering, what do I do now? He's an outstanding outfielder. He's in the dugout. Now, the best way to get into the game is as the game goes along, sit or stand next to the manager and just keep yelling at the top of your lungs for your teammates. And tomorrow, Bobby Valentine's going to say, you know what? I got to get a quiet guy and put him next to me. There's Buddy Bell, outstanding third baseman for many, many years in the American League. Now manager of the Detroit Tigers. And speaking of the Tigers, we'll take a look at their lineup. Brian Hunter leads it off. He'll be followed by Brian Higginson and then Travis Fryman. Tony Clark bats fourth. Bob Hamlin, one-time Rookie of the Year, batting fifth. And Melvin Nieves, the right fielder, batting sixth. Bottom three, Raul Casanova, Damon Easley, and Deve Cruz. Now, that lineup is brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers and a terrific sponsor here in Detroit. I mean, if you're from Detroit or in the Dearborn, Michigan area, you got Ford. Although I'll tell you one thing, the reason Ralph Kiner's not here in Detroit, because he as a player insulted Ford. He had that great line. He said, home run hitters drive Cadillacs, single hitters drive Fords.
And Brian Hunter, a stolen base demon, takes upstairs from Mark Clark. You'll remember Hunter from his days in the National League with the Houston Astros.
The Astros really got down on him. He's got a lot of that potential they talk about. He can fly, one of the fastest runners in all of baseball. Doesn't have a good build for a leadoff hitter.
Leads the American League with 37 stolen bases and will get another chance to steal as Hunter loops a single to right.
Well, it was a pretty good acquisition. I mean, Randy Smith likes Hunter. So does Buddy Bell. They got him in the lineup. He does a lot of running on this ball club. Very important part of this club. And you can build when you have a guy like Hunter. Look at that. The 37 stolen bases that Howie Rose just mentioned are Chrysler League leaders. And Hunter's a guy who reminds a lot of people of Willie Davis. Remember, a tall outfielder with the Los Angeles Dodgers who could fly.
Yeah, you know, Davis hit a lot better later in his career than he did early. Brian Hunter struggling somewhat at the plate this year. And here's Bobby Higginson.
Brian Hunter, I mean, it must be difficult to decide what to do with him. I think what he should probably do is imitate. Remember Willie Wilson?
Sure.
Willie Wilson came up. He was swinging for the fences. They got him to just ping the ball around. Nice play there by Husky. But just, you know, you bat left-handed, you bat right-handed, put the ball on the ground and outrun the throw to first base. Here's a nice play by Butch Husky. Not an easy play when you're at first base, rarely at first base, and the balls bounce like that. And I'll tell you, Hunter's happy he made that catch.
Another good move by Mark Clark, who's somewhat familiar with this ballpark, having pitched here as a member of the Cleveland Indians.
And that's a big rivalry, the Cleveland Indians and the Detroit Tigers.
In fact, Clark 3-in-1 lifetime with a 2.81 earned run average against the Tigers. And not only does Hunter lead the American League and the majors in stolen bases, the Tigers lead the American League in steals. Cincinnati with the major league lead in that category. Outside, 1 ball, no strikes.
It's funny, for years the Tigers were like the Red Sox in the American League. They built their club to be an offensive club really without speed. Occasionally they come up with a base stealer. They had, of course, Ty Cobb, who was before our time. He was a great base stealer. But usually they built their ball club to hit and hit with power.
Well, Hunter in one of the games over the weekend against the Red Sox, that was on Friday night, stole 4 bases. Damian Easley also had a 4 stolen base game against the Red Sox. That came the next day. In fact, Hunter's came in 4 straight innings, the first 4. He's running now. The pitch taken outside, and Hundley has no chance. Stolen base number 38 for the league leader, Brian Hunter.
Well, we talked about this ball club being able to, they're rebuilding here, and this kid Hunter can be a very important part of the ball club because he generates that speed you're talking about, Howie. See Todd Hundley had trouble getting that ball out of his glove, and he bounced the ball to second base. You have a split second of difficulty, like right there, you're not going to get Hunter. Runs too fast.
So 2 balls, no strikes. Nobody out here in the first.
Did you see Hundley looking at where the ball got caught in his glove?
2-1. Hundley had a little bit of trouble getting it out.
It's important when you're catching on TV is to blame that glove.
Hey, listen, I got one up here that had better work tonight.
Well, Howie's going to be our defender up here in the booth. He's brought his glove all the way from New York.
That's right. And I'm not looking for souvenirs, just protection. Shortstop Lopez dancing in behind Hunter. And time had been called.
We get a problem. We had a production meeting before the game, and they elected Howie, the guy, to save everybody in the booth.
That's right. That's dangerous. But you see this guy over here, a former major league catcher.
Show the glove. Look at those hands.
Look at that.
That's how we used to do it at Shea Stadium many years ago.
And I came up with a lot there too. Outfielder's glove could call the game right through the web. Nothing like being prepared. The 2-1 hit in the air to right field and deep. Ochoa to the wall. Nets a gunner. A 2-run homer for Bobby Higginson, and the Tigers lead it 2-0. Home run number 10 for Higginson.
All he did was get the head of the bat on the low pitch. As soon as a left-hander does that, especially here in Detroit, you get a fly ball in that area in right field, it's a home run. Not only is that fence attractive to right-handed hitters, the ball also jumps here to right field.
That upper deck in right field overhangs the playing field by several feet. Travis Fryman hits the next pitch in the air to right field. This will stay in the ballpark. And Ochoa's got it for the first out.
Well, Brian Higginson got a hold of a pitch from Mark Clark. You'll see it again right here. Watch what happens when the ball is down. Look at Higginson, not really a home run swing right there. Just laid the bat on the ball, got it up in the air. And as Howie mentioned, it's an overhang out there, and forget it. Hit a ball up in the air, and there's a good chance you hit it to right field, it's going to be in the seats.
The right fielder, whether it's Ochoa or anybody else who's ever played here, can be poised to catch a fly ball that never comes down because of the overhang. Tony Clark now takes outside for a ball.
He's their franchise player. He's really come on. He was a basketball player in college. A lot of teams passed on him because they felt he didn't want to play baseball, but he hurt himself and had to quit basketball.
1 ball, 1 strike on Clark.
Well, he's as strong as an ox, and he is big. Struggled in the minor leagues. Tigers were patient with him, and now he's a franchise player if he continues the way he's going.
70 runs batted in to go along with his 20 home runs. He was picked 2nd overall in 1990 by Detroit. And that's fouled back.
I'll tell you one thing, the way people are flinching up here in this press box, you know, it's amazing how Ernie Harwell, for all these years, as you look at Tony Clark's numbers, Ernie Harwell, for all these years, never get hit with a foul ball.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Never mind those mellifluous pipes.
He's with Al Kaline. There's a guy we should put a glove on his hand up here. He can cover the whole press box.
Nothing but air. Tony Clark out on strikes. 2 men away.
2 Hall of Famers right there. Al Kaline, who led the American League in hitting at 20 years old.
399 lifetime homers, over 3,000 hits.
What a talent. What a talent. Al Kaline. And the other talent, Ernie Harwell. There was some controversy here in Detroit. Somebody decided to release Ernie Harwell a couple years ago from his responsibilities. That was a bad move.
Didn't last long either. He wound up back with the Tigers. And here's Bob Hamlin, an interesting story. American League Rookie of the Year in 1994, wound up going down to the minors. Struggled so badly afterwards, and then had laser surgery on his eyes. And all of a sudden, he's back better than ever, at least in terms of his batting average, hitting at .330.
You know, I'm surprised more players don't have their eyes checked when they struggle. A lot of guys, you know, like yourself, you never had your eyes checked. What's it, once every 10 years?
I get all 4 of them checked. 2 for damage, 2 for fog. The 3-0 to Hamilton, hit in the air, right field. Ochoa over, so's Johnson. And it's Ochoa making the catch. So the side retired, but Clark leaves, having given up 2. 2 on this swing of the bat from Bobby Higginson. And at the end of 1 at Tiger Stadium, it is 2-0 Detroit.
New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by OmniPoint. 100% digital, 0% hassle. And by Toyota. I love what you do for me.
Met fans in Detroit. Something new for them, something new for the New York Mets. As interleague play goes into its 2nd cycle of the year, and Todd Hundley batting right-handed against the southpaw, Justin Thompson.
They're going to build a new stadium here in Detroit.
It should be ready by the year 2000. Fouled upstairs by Hundley, 0-2.
Hundley with a home run from the right side of the plate in Pittsburgh yesterday. He saw that hanging curveball and just drove it the other way. He was talking about this ballpark before the game. He said it's such a tiny little place to hit.
Yeah. Unless you go in dead center where it's 440 feet from home plate.
There have been home runs hit there recently. Nobody has ever seen one prior to these guys lifting weights. But I mean, even in batting practice, there's some hitters that hit the ball into those center field bleachers.
Now that's the overhang in right center field. As we take you more towards dead center, you'll get the deepest perspective from center field of anywhere in baseball now. Off speed, and Hundley's gone.
That's a good pitch. Thompson looks good. We talked about his stuff. The fastball, curveball, slider. He cuts a fastball, and he has a straight change. And right here, pulls a string on Hundley. So the word is in the American League also. Throw him off-speed pitches, or he'll get you. You see Hundley way out in front. Thompson's considered one of the better pitchers, has some of the best stuff in all of baseball. In fact, a few weeks ago, he hooked up against Pedro Martinez. They said it was quite a pitcher's duel.
Butch Husky rolls the first pitch to short, and Davy Cruz throws him out. So Thompson has retired the first 5 batters he's faced.
Hey fans, what a trip to see the Mets play in Colorado. With the Coors Light Sports Channel Getaway See the Rockies contest. Send us a postcard to the address on the screen before July 6th for your chance to win. Keep watching Sports Channel for more details.
2 out, nobody on. Carl Everett will be the batter, and Fran was talking about the Justin Thompson Pedro Martinez matchup. That was a little more than 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago this past Saturday in Montreal. Expos won that one 1-0. Thompson went 7 innings, gave up just 5 hits and that 1 run, striking out 7.
And Pedro Martinez was just as dominating. It was quite a pitcher's matchup.
How about what this kid's done with Ken Griffey Jr.? He has struck him out each of the last 6 times that he's faced him.
That's just, and Ken Griffey Jr. is a good hitter against left-handed pitching for a simple reason. He grew up facing his dad, Ken Griffey Sr. As you look at those stats, how he talked about. Ken Griffey Sr. talked to me about that. He said that's why his son is so comfortable hitting against left-handers, because he took batting practice against his dad his whole life.
The 2-1 to Everett. Tried to check his swing, and no swing, according to Terry Kraft. In fact, Rafael Palmeiro of the Baltimore Orioles says the only tougher left-hander that he has faced, Randy Johnson. Ball 4. The Mets have their first base runner.
Well, Mets got to get a ball up in the air and tie this ball game up. Baerga could do it. He's the next hitter. Baerga likes hitting in this ballpark. Talking to him during batting practice, he said he's always been comfortable when he was with the Cleveland Indians. You know, you like playing in this ballpark, even if your stats don't indicate it.
Well, it's a ballpark, all right. It's an institution to some. In fact, to many here in Detroit who fought the proposals for a new ballpark really for sentimental reasons. They wanted to preserve Tiger Stadium in perpetuity as a landmark. Baerga couldn't check his swing. He fouled it off.
Thompson keeps runners close. He's got a good pickoff move. You see, if they get a jump, they can steal off Thompson, but he has a good pickoff move to first base.
Well, if you read into that, you think they're stealing on the catcher.
Stay off those catchers. Although a lot of guys do steal on catchers. But I used to love that saying. You steal off the pitcher, you don't steal off the catcher.
A bouncer up the middle, and Baerga has a 2-out hit. Everett on his way to third. He'll make it without a throw. So the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 men out, and Alex Ochoa coming up.
You know, it's funny how you're talking about the stadium, how a lot of people don't want it knocked down. Once it's knocked down and they have a beautiful new ballpark here in Detroit, people will adjust very well. Just like when Shea Stadium goes and they put a new ballpark up in Flushing.
Well, especially if it has that old-time feel to it. Now, nothing is going to identically replicate this kind of intimacy. And truthfully, the picture you get on television doesn't do justice to the proximity at which the fans sit to the field. You're right on top of it. And I know you hear that from so many people, especially when they describe the new ballparks. But trust me, you are right on top of things here at Tiger Stadium. So 2 out, runners at first and third, and Alex Ochoa takes a strike, 0-1.
Well, Ochoa has really struggled, but he just doesn't play enough to get it going. In order to be successful and to judge somebody's ability on the field, he has to play every day for a long period of time.
Carlos Baerga on that list too, helping himself with that base hit. And a bounce at a short. Cruz goes the short way, and the side retired. So the Mets put up a mild threat with 2 out, don't score. Middle of the second, 2-0 Tigers. Two to nothing Detroit, last of the second. Melvin Nieves takes a fastball on the outside corner from Mark Clark. Tigers leading 2-0 on the strength of Bobby Higginson's first inning 2-run homer. Nieves with 10 homers and 40 RBIs. 0-2. Nieves has also been with Atlanta and San Diego. And the fact that he's behind in the count is nothing new. He has struck out more than anyone in the American League, 93 times already.
You never hear, like when we were playing when we were kids, guard the plate anymore, do you?
No.
Let's see how far you can hit it.
On the inside corner with a fastball. So make it 94 strikeouts now for the league leader in that category, Mel Nieves.
And let's take a look at our GHI injury report. Ray Ordonez took some ground balls today. Been out of DL since June 2nd, but I'm telling you, the Mets have done a great job in going on. They got Manny Alexander. Luis Lopez is now starting to swing a pretty productive bat, getting on base.
But Ordonez feeling he'll be back within the next couple of weeks or so. Raul Casanova, the catcher, goes after the first pitch, and there's Lopez. And Husky holds the bag, 2 away. Matt Loughlin on tour here at Tiger Stadium in Detroit. Where are you hanging out, Matty?
Well, Howie, I'm in the auxiliary press box way up in right field, just above the retired numbers of the Tigers. Number 2, of course, belongs to Charlie Gehringer, who was named the AL MVP in 1937. We move over to number 5. That belongs to Hank Greenberg. He won an MVP in 1935, the year the Tigers won their first World Series. And number 6, of course, you talked about it, Al Kaline, the 3 retired numbers thus far for the Tigers. They will retire another number on July 27th of this year. That belongs to Hal Newhouser, who won 2 MVPs back-to-back, in fact, as a pitcher in the 40s. One number you don't see here, Ty Cobb, the greatest perhaps of all Tigers. The reason? He didn't wear a number until he became the manager of the Tigers. Back in those days, players didn't have numbers. So how do you retire a number if somebody didn't wear one? A little bit of Tiger Stadium history, fellas.
Great seats, eh, buddy?
Howie, how about Ty Cobb? He won the Triple Crown.
Look at Matty there. Hey, Matty.
He won the Triple Crown, 9 home runs.
And about 120 RBI, 147 RBIs.
Just incredible.
Nothing. 1 ball, 2 strikes, excuse me, to Damian Easley, who pulls that one foul into the Tiger dugout. Hard.
By the way, Hal Newhouser, Matty Lachlan mentioned Hal Newhouser won the Most Valuable Player award back-to-back. The reason he stayed out of the Hall of Fame as long as he did is he pitched some of his career during the war years.
Luis Lopez on the backhand has a long throw, and he gets it there. So Clark, after giving up the single and homer in the first inning, is now retired 6 in a row. 6 as in K-line. And it is 2-0 Tigers at the end of 2.
The hitting streaks, the homers, the shutouts, and the saves. Follow the best in baseball.
Luis Lopez takes a ball from Justin Thompson as we start the 3rd inning here at Tiger Stadium. Those 2 runs coming on Bobby Higginson's first inning home run. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lopez with a big day yesterday, 3 hits, including a triple. And Luis Lopez, more than the Mets ever could have hoped for after Ordonez and then Alexander went down.
It really is amazing the way the Mets have been able to lose 2 top-flight shortstops and end up with a real good short. This kid can play short.
We mentioned it before. He had Tommy John-style surgery on his elbow, and they were wondering about how well he'd be able to throw. In fact, I remember talking to Bobby Valentine the day that Lopez came up. I said, where do you think he'll fit? And this, of course, is before he was going to be installed as an everyday player due to Alexander's injury. He said, well, his best position defensively, as you look at Manny Alexander, will be second base. Lopez has played a real good major league shortstop.
Well, he really has.
Travis Fryman with a long throw, and it's right there for the first out.
You know, we were talking about retired numbers here in Detroit, touching on the history of the Tigers. George Kell, who recently retired as a long-time broadcaster, is in the Hall of Fame, and we're trying to find out what number he wore. Let's see if it was like 5.
Well, no, 5 was Greenberg.
Well, I was wondering, well, did they retire right after he gets through playing?
Well, what happened was Gehringer, number 2, and Greenberg, number 5, were long-time teammates on the Tigers, and they had their uniform numbers retired on the same day back in 1983. Thompson got off the mound quickly to throw out Lance Johnson.
But George Kell played, I believe, in the 50s. So if he played in the 50s, he probably wore one of those numbers. But anyways, he's a Hall of Famer and was an outstanding third baseman for the Tigers.
I'll tell you what, I heard George Kell broadcast a World Series with your old partner Phil Rizzuto. I guess it would have been the '62 series between the Yankees and the Giants. I think George Kell worked that along with the Scooter on radio. Edgardo Alfonzo takes downstairs for ball 1. Alfonzo flied to right his first time up, looking to extend that 12-game hitting streak. There's the average up to 313. He hits that one off the fists. In hard comes Higginson. Out goes Cruz, and it drops in. And it is a 13-game hitting streak now for Edgardo Alfonzo.
Ball had a lot of hang time, and ball dropped in front of Higginson and also in front of Cruz, or behind Cruz, I should say, as he went out from shortstop. Ball should have been caught. Hung up too long, but a break for the Mets, as also a break for Alfonzo's bat. So Alfonzo continues with his hitting streak, and the Mets have a runner on first with 2 men out.
And I just realized I've left some people in suspended animation over the John Olerud story, why he's not playing tonight, as Gilkey, the DH, takes a strike. I asked Bobby Valentine before the game, why rest Olerud tonight? And he said he thought it'd be a good night for it. I said, how come? He said, because he had the big game yesterday. Now that's interesting, because most managers, you would think, would operate differently, figuring ride the hot streak. But Bobby has a real interesting take on it. He says, I would rather rest a guy when he comes off a good game because that player then is not doubting his ability to hit. He's feeling good about himself, so he doesn't mope and he doesn't feel as though he's being benched for punitive reasons, simply understanding the manager wants to give him a day off here or there.
You know, Howie, Bobby Valentine, to me, is a manager who does a terrific job in protecting his players. And I think it's very important for a manager to protect his players. I think in this case, Thompson is a very difficult left-hander to hit. Olerud had a great day yesterday. Give him a day off against a tough left-hander. Bobby, of course, he's not going to put down John Olerud and say, well, it's a left-hander against a left-hander, because he doesn't want Olerud to feel he couldn't hit him. I think Valentine's done a terrific job protecting his players. You ever hear him rip a player?
Not publicly, no.
Never, never. No, I'm sure in the office, if he has a problem, brings him in and talks to him.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Bernard Gilkey. And the off-speed pitch bounced foul. Well, he got Hundley on one of those off-speed pitches, and Gilkey just got a piece that time. It's 2-2.
There are some times when it's tough. When Bobby Valentine makes a decision to rest a star player, it can be a tough decision.
But he explains it to the players and told you what the reason was for sitting Olerud tonight. 2-2 to Gilkey with 2 out. Alfonso on first. And a slow roller to Easley at second. And the side retired. No runs, a hit. The Mets leave 1. And in the middle of the third, it is 2-0 Tigers. You might want to send that extra catcher's mitt up here, Alberto. And never mind Reynoso. He's got enough protection. He's got the cap. They got the low bridge in the dugout there, but let's face it. Gary Cohen, the Mets radio broadcaster, tipped us off to the fact that you ought to bring a glove to Detroit. And for good reason.
I'll tell you one thing. We're in trouble up here. Howie Rose has a glove in his hand, and he's protecting us in this booth and in the radio booth. Gary Cohen has a glove. He's going to protect Portland. Look at Murph. Murph's got that net between him and the ball.
He's the smartest guy in the yard.
Look at that. Now, Gary's going to get hurt with that glove.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because that's a platoon glove. The deal here is that they say the left-handed batters are the ones who foul the balls back our way into the booth. Gary's booth is just to the left of ours. So, you know, this is left-hand hitting foul ball territory. The right-hand batter, Davy Cruz, pulls it foul. It's 0-2. But I guarantee you, when a left-hand batter comes up, and the next one will be Bobby Higginson, we're going to show you Gary Cohen again in the Mets radio booth, and he'll have the leather out. Guaranteed.
You think Murph believes in Coney's hands?
Obviously not. He's got the net up in front of him. 1-2 on Davy. That's how it's pronounced. You see the spelling, but it's pronounced as though it were Davy Johnson, whose Orioles were beaten 4 straight this weekend by the Toronto Blue Jays. 2-2 now to Cruz. Mark Clark has retired the last 6 Tigers. And Cruz pops it up to the right side. In comes Ochoa. Out goes Baerga. And it's Carlos putting it away for the first out.
We'll follow Gary Cohen right now. Murph will follow him right. Murph will get on the ground if a ball's hit up there rather than rely on Gary Cohen's hands.
Well, now I mentioned we got a right-hander, Brian Hunter, up next for the Tigers. So Gary will probably keep that glove right where it is. Bobby Higginson, a left-hand batter, is on deck. So the Cohen watch will pick up with Higginson. This, though, is Hunter. Singled, stole second, and scored on Higginson's homer.
It's amazing. The Astros gave up on Hunter, a guy with a lot of potential. Must be tough to make that decision. You see the 16 infield hits. That's because he can fly. But it's got to be a tough decision to give up on a guy with this type of speed. They say that the Astros weren't real keen on his instincts. They felt he lacked baseball instincts in center field.
Well, he doesn't get on base enough for one thing. Hunter coming into this game with an on-base percentage of .298, which is woefully low for a leadoff batter. Generally, you like your leadoff hitters to be .400 or so. The real good ones are anyway. On-base percentage. But tonight, Hunter's on-base percentage is 1,000.
You see his batting average is .230. The way he can run, that means he's not a good hitter. So with that type of speed, you should switch him around and have him and switch hits.
There you go. I told you Coney knew what he was doing. Wonder if he'll pound it like Agee did. You know how Tommy Agee, when he knew he was about to make a catch, he'd pound the glove a couple of times, told everybody he knew he had it. See if Gary operates the same way. All right, Higginson homered after a Hunter steal his last time up. So, as Willie Loman's wife said, attention must be paid. Not this time to Willie Loman, but to Brian Hunter.
Well, Brian Hunter's got to steal a base. In order for him to stay in the lineup, he's got to utilize his speed, and he cannot get picked off. That's his forte, his speed. He's got to be able to steal a base. He's got to be able to lead the league in stolen bases till he develops into a better major league hitter. That'll keep him in the lineup.
Clark just steps off. Also trying to get a read on whether or not a play would be on. 2-0 Detroit. We're in the third. That's Hunter leading away from first. That uniform will be a mess by the time this game's over, especially if Hunter keeps getting on.
Best way to keep a aggressive base runner close to a base and take his aggressiveness away is throw over, especially the guy that has to dive back in. It tires him out.
Upstairs with a fastball, 1-0.
And I'm sure the throw to first base comes from the bench, but that's the best way to stop a guy like Hunter, especially if he dives in. If he goes back feet first and is able to maintain his strength, you're not going to tire him out. But when you get him diving back to first, he'll get tired.
Not running. And then the pitch taken for a strike, 1-1.
And you see Higginson, all of a sudden he brought the bat down like he was going to bunt the ball and then brought it back up, wanting to give Hunter an opportunity to steal a base and maybe get in the way of Hundley coming out of the chute.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Infield looks for 2. Good move there by Clark. Hunter gets back.
Throw another one over there and make him dive back in once again. Now Clark has a decent move to first base, but the biggest thing here is getting Hunter to dive into first. Hunter was moving towards second too. He just got back in. Throw over there again. Get him to dive back in.
Told you we were close enough to the field here. Clark simply listening to fan suggestions.
Last time when Hunter stole second base, Hundley had trouble with the ball and that loose webbing. That webbing's too loose right now.
Hunter running. Pitch taken for a ball. Hundley's throw. Not in time. Stolen base number 39 for Brian Hunter.
Lopez thought he had him. Now, you're not going to see Lopez argue a whole lot because that's not his personality. He's a young player, and he's not going to get involved in arguing with umpires. This is a real close play. This is a nice throw by Hundley. Good strong throw, and this is right on the money. Looked like you get the hand in there, but take another look. Well, yeah, I'll tell you one thing. He could have been called out. His reputation helped him right there.
This will be a 2-1 to Higginson. And Hundley with a little goaltending.
Umpires know the players in the league. They know the guys who have real good speed that can steal a base. And umpires are like players. They anticipate. Hunter could have been called out on that stolen base, but you can see he leads the major leagues right now. And he's hitting .230 leading the major leagues. How about that stat?
And the 3-1 swung on and missed. So a full count now to Bobby Higginson. How about the turnaround that Bobby Higginson made last year? That at .224 in 1995, and he raised that almost 100 points last year to .320. And this year, batting at .255, coming in .259 now after the home run. And that is hit foul and off the facade there at Tiger Stadium.
There have been a lot of shots hit over that right field roof. Only 4, I believe, over the left field roof here at Tiger Stadium. Look at this. Look at Coney and look at how he rolled.
Setting up inside.
That's right. I have a lot of confidence in his hands. That ball comes up here, I'm going to the floor.
Inside, ball 4. First walk issued by Clark. Puts runners at first and second with 1 out, and Travis Fryman will be the batter. So Clark had retired 7 straight until Hunter's second single.
keep in mind, Higgins had hit that home run off Mark Clark. A lot of times when a hitter goes back up against that same pitcher, he has the edge. Pitcher will give him nothing to hit. And you'll never see that same pitcher hit the home run off during that game.
Pitching coach Bob Apodaca has done an outstanding job this year. But now Clark in some trouble here in the third. And the pitch taken upstairs by Travis Fryman.
You know, a lot of people felt Travis Fryman would be a franchise player here in Detroit. He signed a contract like a franchise player. He's a good, solid player. The franchise players on deck, Tony Clark.
Ooh. Inside, 2-0 now to Fryman.
Tony Clark will be a guest on a pregame show on Wednesday. Probably the most underrated player in the American League.
Mark Clark behind 2-0 on Fryman with 1 out in the third. It's 2-0 Detroit. Infield set up for 2. And Fryman fouls it off to the right side. Out of room in foul territory, and Husky gets there. Bluffing is Hunter, drew the throw anyway, and Husky made a strong one. Most stadiums would have gobbled that one up, but there's a lot of room in foul territory here, despite the close proximity of the seats.
Nice play by Husky getting over there. Now he's at first base, and watch him turn and throw like an outfielder. A one hopper to third base. He threw this like a right fielder. Watch this. Boom, on the money. Keeps Hunter at second base. Hunter faked towards third. Nice play by Husky. He got over there, makes the catch, turns, and makes a perfect throw.
Of course, that's where Butch has played most of the time this year, right field. So he gave it that right fielder's throw to hold the runners. And now Tony Clark, who struck out his first time up. 2 out in the third, 2-0 Detroit. And that's a strike at the knees, 0-1.
Clark was an outstanding schoolboy basketball player. Ended up at Arizona on a scholarship, but was injured.
He had back problems.
Yes, he did. Had to give up basketball because of the back problems.
Good pitch on the outside corner, 0-2. In fact, he had surgery to repair the problem in his back.
And then he struggled in the minor leagues. Now he's driven in 70 runs. How about Griffey? 79 so far this year.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Nothing but air. And for the second time tonight, Mark Clark has struck out Tony Clark. No runs a hit, 2 left, 3 in the books in Detroit. 2-0 Tigers.
New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary, and by GHI. We put the care back in health care.
And some more Met fans here in Detroit. Closest rival, I guess, to the Tigers would be the Cleveland Indians. They're about a 3-hour car ride from each other, Detroit and Cleveland. Todd Hundley leads off the 4th for New York. And a fastball from Justin Thompson sits outside. Hundley with 4 home runs in his last 7 games, but struggling against the American League. His 2 hits came against the Red Sox. He went 0 for 10 at Yankee Stadium. Todd walked intentionally 3 times in Pittsburgh on Saturday night.
Big thing he doesn't want to do here is overswing. I think a home run hitter first time in a ballpark like this would tend to overswing because the fences are so inviting.
He'll especially enjoy pitching against or hitting against right-handers, I would think. Todd will turn around, bat from the left side, shorter porch in right field. And that's taken for a strike. Got that overhang in right field. Leans out over the playing surface. Fouled back by Hundley.
Boy, Thompson has been very impressive so far. He's had the Met hitters way out in front now. He struck Hundley out last time up on a straight change. Right there, he threw the fastball and beat him with the fastball. You can be a successful pitcher in major leagues if you can throw that fastball and get guys to follow it back.
And the payoff pitch to Hundley, up and away for ball 4. And so the Mets get a leadoff man on. The second walk issued by Thompson, and Matt Loughlin continues to stroll around Bob Uecker territory here at Tiger Stadium.
Well, I've stayed up in the spot I was before, but I wanted to follow up Frank's comment about balls hit out of this ballpark. Since the second level was added in 1938, 32 have been hit out of the ballpark. 28 of them here to right field. The last one was Bobby Bonilla when Marlins were in town, and he hit it between this white wall here and the light stanchion. An unbelievable shot, fellas. I mean, from my standpoint, I can't see how anybody can get up this far, never mind out of the stadium. It's just incredible. Bobby Bo, when Florida was here, you're taking a look at it, out of Tiger Stadium. 4 balls have been hit out of the left field wall or left field stands and out of the ballpark, but 28 to the right side. Just an incredible feat by anybody who can do it.
Well, I guess, Matty, you're standing about 75 feet to the right of where Reggie Jackson hit one of the All-Star game. Nice play by Easley, but he has no further play. Couldn't get the ball out of his glove after he dove out to grab the grounder by Husky, and the Mets have 2 on with nobody out.
Error on Easley. It looked like he wanted to get the lead runner on this ball. To take a look at it, he was turning his body as he was going down, wanted to get the lead runner. He'd been a lot better off if he went after Husky at first base. He'd have gotten a sure out there. Tough play right there. He couldn't get the handle on the ball trying to cut down Hundley at second base.
So the error charged to Damian Easley, and the Mets have runners at first and second with nobody out. Carl Everett will be the batter. Everett walked his first time up, and he has enjoyed interleague play, at least statistically. 2-0 Detroit here in the 4th, and the Mets threatening. Fastball missed, 1-0. Everett has been hot for a while now, batting at .400 over his last 19 games on 28 for 70. And he's getting his playing time even with Lance Johnson back. Of course, the DH helps matters tonight. Fouled back, 1-1.
Pretty good pitch right there for Everett to handle. We'll see Thompson now. He's in a tight spot with nobody out and runners on first and second, but he's got some big league material. The overpowering fastball, the curveball, the cut fastball, the straight change. Usually decent control.
24 years old, out of San Antonio, Texas. Makes his home now in Spring, Texas. And the 1-1 fouled straight back.
Buddy Bell said he doesn't have to tell him anything. When he's in the dugout, if he's talking to Thompson, he said it's idle talk. He said because Thompson is an intelligent pitcher, he knows exactly what he has to do.
Buddy Bell's done an outstanding job here. In fact, this team lost 109 games last year, and everyone lauded the work of Buddy Bell. Maybe unprecedented.
Gave him an extension.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Buddy Bell was he was in charge of developing players for the White Sox for a number of years, so he knows what it takes to develop talent. Randy Smith hired him as the manager and said he's going to be the manager for a long time here.
The 2-2 to Everett on the ground to short, could be 2. There's 1. Easley's relay and a double play. Good slide by Husky, who went in Oklahoma State linebacker style, but still not enough to prevent the double play. Well, he could have played linebacker at Oklahoma State if he'd accepted the scholarship, but now 2 out and a runner on third.
Well, here's a pitcher's delight. 6-4, 3 double play, an easy hop. You see the 6 to 4 to 3. You see the hard slide easily being taken out by Husky, but he got rid of the ball in time to get the double play.
So with Hundley, the runner at third, now there are 2 out, and Carlos Baerga, who singled in the second inning. That's trailed 2-0. We're in the 4th. And the fastball on the outside corner.
So far, Thompson has been in complete charge on the mound. This is a big at bat for Carlos Baerga to get on the board with a run.
When you saw those numbers, Carlos still talks freely about needing to feel more comfortable from the right side. Way out in front, 0-2.
Now you remember against the Atlanta Braves, and Mark Wallace threw him 2 off-speed pitches, had him way out in front, and then came in with a fastball, and Baerga got a key hit in that ball game to win the game.
He threw him 2 nasty splits.
Yeah, the reason he didn't throw him another splitter, I'll guarantee you, if the truth be known, it had to be because he was second guessing the World Series for throwing something other than his best pitch, which was his fastball.
The 0-2 to Baerga off the outside corner.
You look at Thompson, he has a great build for a pitcher, about 6'5", and of course left-handers are at a premium, so you can imagine how many teams are after this guy. But he's going no place. Tigers love him, and he just missed. Baerga getting a good look at that ball.
It'll be a 1-2 to Baerga. And Carlos out on strikes. The side retired. Mets failed to score. No runs, no hits. There was an error and 1 left. Middle of the 4th. Still 2-0.
Mets Baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by Aeropostale Specialty Stores, an American tradition since 1987. Visit one of our tri-state locations.
Friday, the 4th of July is going to be a wild night at Shea as the Red Hot Mets battle the Florida Marlins. And HIP presents an Independence Day fireworks spectacular, produced by the world-famous Grucci family. For tickets, call 718-507-TIXX and get your Mets.
Well, Sports Channel and GHI salute Joseph Bosnack Jr., the GHI Health Insurance Broker of the Day. Contact the GHI broker for all your health insurance needs. You know, looking at this ballpark, you see that Coca-Cola sign out there in left field. One of the major stockholders in Coca-Cola when it first got off the ground, Ty Cobb.
That'll make him a few cents. It would have.
It did.
On the outside corner to Bob Hamlin, 0-1.
In fact, the story goes, a guy had to really badger him into investing in this new product.
Well, he's from Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Cobb, or was. The Georgia Peach. Fouled off. No balls, 2 strikes on Hamlin, who flied to right his first time up.
And how you told the story earlier about Bob Hamlin, a one-time Rookie of the Year in the American League, obviously struggles against left-handers. How about the story this year? Todd Hollinsworth, who was recalled recently, went back to the minor leagues after winning Rookie of the Year last year.
Lopez had him played perfectly. And there's 1 out. Lopez had shifted towards second base and is in perfect position to throw out Hamlin. 1 gone in the 4th. Mel Nieves will be next. Detroit Lions used to play here too. Of course, they have since moved to the Pontiac Silverdome, but they may be coming back downtown.
Yeah, they're coming back downtown. They're going to build a baseball and a football stadium here. See the scoreboard with the football.
Yeah, for the old down markers and such. And Nieves with a slow roller to first. Husky takes it himself and quickly 2 away.
Well, this ballpark, we talked about it as a home run hitter's ballpark. Right field, left field. You see those signs out there in left field. I mean, at one time, a lot of the balls, the home runs were hitting to the first deck, but these guys are so big and so strong, they hit it above that Armatron sign out there in left field. How about center field? Guys have hit home runs over that 440 mark. Howie, I'm telling you, when I first was in the minor leagues, if a guy hit a ball over the center field fence any place, guys in the dugout would say, can you believe that? Now they do it regularly.
A mere bag of shells as the catcher Raul Casanova takes ball 1. Remember former Major League catcher Paul Casanova? Well, they're not related.
You know, that's right. That's a good story because I was right with you. I know. You know, I asked about, he was a member of the Mets organization at one time.
Yep, the Mets drafted him. Casanova did. And in fact, Casanova had his breakthrough year in the minor leagues in 1994. He was in the Padres system, had a great year at Rancho Cucamonga in the California League, and the Padres roving hitting instructor was Tom Robson, now the Mets batting coach.
You know, by the way, a little Met history. When I was in high school, I was invited to a tryout camp by the Mets when I was about 15 years old, and at that camp there were about 12 other guys. The other guy was Paul Casanova. They didn't sign him.
That's it in the air to left field, pretty deep, sending Everett to the wall, and that's a goner. Everett did all that he could. He practically became a vendor. However, Casanova with his 3rd home run. A Buffalo Sabre fan in Detroit. Either way, it's 3-0 Tigers. So the Sabre fan got the ball. Bobby Valentine thought Everett might have had it. That ball carried nicely, and it's 3-0 Tigers.
Looks like the wind blowing out the left field ball got up high enough where the wind played a role in it. And I didn't think it was gone when it was first hit.
From the looks of Bobby's face, neither did he. But Mark Clark has now given up 2 home run balls. Higginson a 2-run shot in the first, and Casanova's 3rd of the year makes it 3-0 Tigers. And that's hit deep to left, but foul by Easley.
How about our Discover Card playback? It's the home run off the bat of Raul Casanova. He gets the ball up in the air to left field, high enough for the wind play to roll. Look at Everett going back, drifting back, and so is the ball.
Lopez charges, and the side retired, but the Tigers add a run. Casanova's home run, so 4 innings complete here at Tiger Stadium in Detroit, and the Tigers have a 3-0 lead.
This Mets memory is brought to you by your friends at Sports Channel. Bud Prominski had the shortest stint in Met history. Before a career-ending shoulder injury, he threw just 1 pitch.
I'll never forget that pitch. I shook off a few signs. Going into my windup, I hurled it in. It was called outside for a ball. Just a tiny bit outside, mind you. No more than a fraction of an inch. It could have gone either way. Definitely a judgment called by the ump. Matter of fact, Rudy the bat boy told me he's positive it was a strike.
Is this team full?
Well, it's 3-0 as we go to the 5th inning. Carl Everett couldn't grab Casanova's home run, but that fella did, and he starts a one-man celebration.
Then he left the ballpark.
Now he can afford, with that baseball that he could sell, to buy the brand new Buffalo Sabres jersey. They changed their logo and everything. Fouled off by Ochoa. I know, Fran, you pay a lot of attention to Buffalo Sabres hockey, but they had the perfect logo. If this fellow would turn around and let you see it, it was a buffalo and 2 sabers. But they changed it. How could you change that?
No, you can't do that. You got to love those Buffaloes.
Ochoa with a ground ball up the middle, and Alex Ochoa has the Mets' 3rd hit of the ball game. Leadoff single here in the 5th.
My team now is the Rangers.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm a big Ranger fan.
Who's your favorite? You name 3 Rangers, I'll give you the glove.
Come on now, don't be putting pressure on me. Look at, there's the logo.
There's the Buffalo Sabre. Now you see up there right at the top of the crest, that's a buffalo. And those 2 swords, they're sabers. What can possibly say a team's name any better than that? They changed it. Ochoa back to first with Luis Lopez, the batter.
See what my man Wayne Gretzky might retire. Is that rumor?
Well, the rumor was pretty well put to rest by his agent Michael Barnett. We got a Chicago Blackhawks fan here. This is the city of the Stanley Cup champions. Pop foul this way by Lopez. If they're going to nail us, that would be a nice way to do it, on a little bunt. Nice soft lofting pop foul.
I believe the same gentleman that owns the hockey team here in Detroit,
Michael Ilitch.
He also owns the Tigers.
Yep. I believe Mike Ilitch still owns that Little Caesars Pizza, doesn't
Absolutely.
he? They serve that in the press room at Joe Louis Arena.
Can't beat that pizza.
Lopez off the good series in Pittsburgh. Fryman to second. There's one. Easley to first. And for the 2nd consecutive inning, the Mets have grounded into a double play, started by Travis Fryman, this time 5-4-3.
Well, it's one of those nights where the Mets just can't get anything going against this left-hander, and he has good stuff. He gets Lopez to pull that ball. It's down, and he pulls it right to the 3rd baseman, Fryman. And it's a 5-4-3 double play.
So 2 out, nobody on. Back to the top of the order, and Lance Johnson, the left-handed batter.
You can see why the Tigers are so high on Justin Thompson. Throws strikes, throws hard. Good command of his breaking pitches.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Howard, you've turned into a wimp, I can tell. Every time a ball is pitched now, you get that glove up.
Yeah, you're a real hero. As soon as the ball is delivered, Healy starts sliding backwards. And I have the glove. I'd like to be in a foxhole with him.
How about me having confidence in those hands?
3 balls, no strikes. There's the general manager of the Detroit Tigers, Randy Smith, or most of them anyway. Taking all the way.
He's made a lot of trades helping his ball club. Since coming over here, he was the general manager of the San Diego Padres.
Outside, ball 4, third walk issued by Justin Thompson. Comes with 2 out here in the 5th.
Well, Dunkin' Donuts introduces a cool coffee drink. New coffee, Coolata. A cool, refreshing new taste. Available at participating Dunkin' Donuts shops throughout the tri-state area. Try one today with a Boston cream donut.
One of many sumptuous selections. How can you not like donuts?
Oh, it's un-American.
So Lance Johnson playing against an American League club again. Former Chicago White Sox. With Edgardo Alfonzo in the batter's box. And he takes down low, 1-0. Ponzi extending his hitting streak to 13 with that 3rd inning single. Mets trailing 3-0 here in the 5th inning. That's a strike, 1-1. Mets prior to interleague series saw them lose 2 out of 3 in both cases. Once to the Red Sox, then to the Yankees. One and 1 to Alfonzo. Johnson coasts back. Lance with 50 stolen bases last year, bothered this year by the shin splints, so hasn't had the opportunity to run all that much. However, Johnson has stolen 8 bases.
He was going and he still got back. Clark making a nice play, keeping that ball from heading down the right field line. Let this ball sail. Thompson, look at Johnson faking towards second. You see the ball sailing away from Clark, but Clark's about 6'7".
Johnson not going anywhere there.
Thompson with a very deliberate move to first base. I showed you a graphic before. When a runner does start, he usually steals a base with Thompson on the mound.
Now Johnson running, and the pitch line. Will it stay fair? No. A foul ball down the left field line. So Johnson will have to go all the way back. And it goes as a long strike to Alfonzo, 1-2. Hasn't really mattered left-handed or right-handed. Alfonzo has been able to handle the pitchers. 386 over his last 12 games to get the average up to that season high 316. He's a long shot, but he could very well make the All-Star team. He's been that good. Still 1-2 on Alfonzo.
We've yet to see a Met really hit a stinger ball off Thompson.
Well, Lance has 8 stolen bases. He's also been caught 7 times, and he was headed back this time.
Those left-handers will do that to a base runner. Rarely will you see a base runner diving back on a right-handed pitcher. It's usually a left-handed pitcher.
And the breaking ball in the dirt. Nice stop by Casanova. So the Tigers, on the strength of a 2-run homer by Higginson, solo homer by Casanova, have built that 3-0 lead. First of a 3-game series. We'll have them all for you on Sports Channel tomorrow night and Wednesday afternoon. And again, Johnson sent back. Pitchers tomorrow, Bobby Jones against Brian Moeller, same time as tonight. 12:30 game time, Sports Authority game time on Wednesday. 1:05 first pitch. Dave Malicki against Willie Blair. And that's it in the air to left field. Higginson has some room. And the side retired. Mets waste a leadoff single. Halfway home, it's 3-0 Detroit.
Promotional consideration is provided by Durasteel by Armatron. Solid stainless steel cases, solid steel bracelets, superb quality and outstanding value. The toughest and best looking watches. Armatron Durasteel, a state of mind and body.
Tigers lead it 3-0 as we go to the last of the 5th inning, and the number 9 batter in the lineup, Davy Cruz, the Detroit shortstop, bounces the first pitch foul. Now here's a kid who was selected in the Rule 5 draft by the Dodgers last year from the Giants, and then they traded him to the Tigers the same day in a minor league deal. Played at Burlington A-ball last year and batted .294.
That's unusual because the Dodgers and the Giants and the Tigers would have had a shot at picking him up in the Rule 5 draft.
He's 22 years old, Davy Cruz, out of the Dominican Republic.
Probably one of those things where the general manager of the Tigers said, you know, I like that guy. Fred Clare said, oh, you like him, you can have him.
For a price. And a chopper that Lopez has a little trouble with, but recovers. 1 out in the 5th inning. Well, fans, get ready for Sports Channel's live pregame coverage of the 1997 Major League All-Star Game with All-Star Cleveland and American Sports Classic. First, though, visit our website at www.sportschannel.com for information on how you can be a part of the show. Then be sure to tune in for Sports Channel's 2-hour special live from Jacobs Field. Next Tuesday, July the 8th, All-Star Cleveland and American Sports Classic from 6 to 8 p.m. on Sports Channel. Fastball inside to Brian Hunter. Brian with 2 for 2 and 2 more stolen bases, giving him 39 for the year. He has the major league lead. And Hunter is 3 for 3. So you can expect Mark Clark and Brian Hunter to get acquainted once again, and Hunter's uniform to get a little bit dirtier in the next couple of moments.
Well, he talked about his low average. He ups his average tonight, but hitting .230 coming into tonight's action. And we talked about Hunter earlier. He cannot hit .230, not the way he runs. He's got to do something to improve that average, whether it's bunting more, hitting the ball on the ground more. You know, here in Detroit, infielders will tell you that on the ball hitting the ground, they have to be ready to charge because the grass is so thick.
Well, they pitch out the first pitch. Nothing doing.
A guy like Brian Hunter should be able to take advantage of this grass. I'm talking to Carlos Baerga before the ball game. He said the one thing he has to remind himself in this game is to charge when the ball hits the grass.
Maybe the highest grass over the last 15 or 20 years was in Chicago, and they had the relatively elderly Ron Cey and Larry Boa on the left side of the field. Looked like you were battling weeds to get to ground balls.
But this place here has always been known for a slow infield.
Upstairs, 2 balls, no strikes.
But again, getting back to Hunter with a slow infield, and he does have a lot of infield hits. He should have even more.
And that's a close play, but Hunter gets back.
He could have been called out at second base last time. It was a real close play. Hundley making a perfect throw to second base. Now, once again, you get those guys diving back, you tire them out. The only thing is you can't pay too much attention to him or you'll give up another home run.
Saw Husky had to handle the throw in the dirt and wasn't able to get his glove over to the arm of Hunter in time, but a good move the last time by Mark Clark. 2-0 on Higginson, and another good move.
Well, Benedict will give a sign to Hundley whether or not to throw to first base and also when to pitch out. And that's a good idea because I've seen some arguments on the mound. There's Bruce Benedict, former major league catcher. I've seen arguments on the mound between pitchers and catchers about pitch outs and when to throw to first.
And the 2-0 misses away. So Clark, concentrating heavily on the base runner at first, albeit with a first pitch out, has fallen behind Higginson. 3-0. 1 on, 1 out of the 5th. 3-0 Tigers.
You sound like a pitcher. You mentioned that first pitch out.
That's a strike. 3-1.
See, that's what happens.
You mean as an excuse to why you're behind 3-0?
Then all of a sudden, you know, you walk to the hitter, and after the game, the pitcher's saying, you know, you're calling too many pitch outs.
You must have caught some whiners.
Let me tell you, you would have been a good major league pitcher.
Everything but the arm.
But you got the lines, I can tell you that.
Well, of course, I know this is a ballpark that you feel a certain fondness for because you caught one of Steve Busby's no-hitters here back in 1973.
Yeah, a couple other guys here at the ballpark were involved in that ball game. Al Kaline played for the Tigers. As they check Hunter again at first base. And Cookie Rojas, the third base coach with the Mets, was the second baseman with the Royals. But you know what? I take all the credit for that no-hitter. You see Hunter diving back in.
3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Hunter running. Outside, ball 4. So perhaps significantly, all 3 times Hunter has reached with singles. Clark has failed to retire Higginson. First inning, a home run by Higginson. He walked him in the 3rd. Now he's walked him in the 5th. So Hunter's stolen base prowess paying dividends in other ways. Both walks issued by Clark have come to Higginson, and Travis Fryman will be next.
Well, you take a look at what happened when Clark was overly concerned about Brian Hunter. First inning, home run, while Hunter was on the base paths. In this inning, a walk while Hunter was diving back to first base. So the concern for speed hurts a pitcher when he's facing a hitter if he pays too much attention to the base runner.
And Fryman, a good hitter, drove in 100 runs last year. First time he did that in his major league career. And that's on the outside corner, 0-1. And I guess a player who almost would be even more appreciated outside of Detroit perhaps than he is here because of all the expectations that were laid on his shoulders when he first came up.
Like I said earlier, they felt he was a franchise player. That's a lot of expectations. He's not. He's a real good major league player.
1-1 to Fryman. Last year there were some rumors that the Mets had interest in Travis Fryman, but they would probably be one of about 10 major league clubs that would be interested in frying him loose. And you can see he's been hot lately, although he's been retired twice tonight. 3-0 Detroit. 2 on, 1 out in the 5th. Mets look for 2 on the infield. 2 balls, 1 strike on Fryman. Outfield a step towards left with Lance Johnson, the center fielder, playing a couple of steps over towards left center, which leaves a lot of room in the right center field gap. See Baerga over towards the bag, trying to keep the runner close. Now drifts back, and the pitch hit in the air to right center. Ochoa over, and he can't get it. 1 hop off the wall. Hunter scores easily. The relay men unable to come up with the throw as Ochoa missed both relay men, so Higginson scores as well. Fryman at 3rd with a triple, and it is 5-0 Detroit. Both relay men were missed.
Well, it's our learning channel replay, and what Ochoa did was he couldn't catch up with his ball. You'd see Fryman put a nice swing at that ball down the way. Look what he does. He goes down and gets it, hits the ball in the gap in right center field. Good, solid major league player. Now, Ochoa gets to the ball. He doesn't overthrow the cutoff man. He throws the ball wildly to the cutoff man. Look at, he throws to the left of Baerga, and the ball scoots into the infield. You see Husky pick it up. Right now, the boos you hear, you're looking at Alex Ochoa. The boos are because they are walking a favorite player and a franchise player, Tony Clark.
You know, if I picked up what I think I saw on that replay, and I may need another look to be sure, it almost looked as though Ochoa didn't even look at the cutoff man. He just picked up the camera, whirled, and let it fly without picking up either man. Maybe just anticipating where the cutoff men would be positioned. We'll see if Howie's on the money. I have yet to see Howie misread anything. You see Ochoa comes up throwing. He looked. Oh, I'm glad you corrected it. I didn't want to do it. I was wrong. He comes up throwing and throws the ball away. Doesn't overthrow the cutoff man. Throws it wide. It's also worth noting that until just before game time, Alex was going to play left field tonight and Everett right. Ochoa has never played left field before. And at the last minute, Bobby Valentine flip-flopped him. So here's Hamlin. Bob Hamlin 0 for 2 takes a ball, and that's newly recalled Joe Crawford loosening up in the Mets bullpen. Called up from Norfolk yesterday, was 8 and 2. Ricardo Jordan was sent down. 5-0 Detroit here in the 5th inning.
I'll tell you, Bob Hamlin, and we talked about it earlier, went from Rookie of the Year to the minor leagues. That's got to be absolutely traumatic for a major league player.
Off the outside corner, 2-0.
Think of this, your rookie year ends, you get the phone call, you are Rookie of the Year. Now you're thinking Hall of Fame's next. In the next year, you're in the minor leagues.
282 with 24 homers, 65 RBIs as a rookie. 168 the next year, and he wound up in the minors. On the outside corner, 3-1. Make that 2-1, excuse me.
Hamlin right now batting .327. He has 6 home runs and 18 RBIs. You see how active and you know why he does that with his hands? He wants to relax his hands. When you hit, you have to be completely relaxed. Now you'll tighten up when you start moving towards the ball.
And that's popped up to the left side. Left fielder Everett with plenty of room. And that'll hold Fryman at third, as well as Clark at first. So the shallow fly ball fails to produce a run. 2 men out, and Mel Nieves will be next. So Mark Clark not out of any further damage yet, as the Tigers have scored 2 in the first, 1 in the fourth. Those were on home runs, and 2 more in the 5th on Fryman's triple. Nieves 0 for 2. That includes his 2nd inning strikeout tonight. A turnaround by this Tiger ball club that lost 109 games last year. Fouled back.
They just came back from Fenway Park where they won 3 or 4 from the Red Sox. But they knew last year it was a rebuilding year. It was a very difficult season for the Tigers. They have improved this year. They are rebuilding. They have some talent. And that guy right there is a good baseball man, Buddy Bell.
Tigers 7 games under 500 coming in tonight at 35 and 42. And the 0-1 to Nieves, fouled back. So Clark in front. No balls, 2 strikes. Tigers opening an 8-game homestand with this game. After the Mets leave town, the Baltimore Orioles come in. They'll have a doubleheader as part of a 5-game series. Clark ahead 0-2 with 2 outs here in the 5th. And Hundley has to do a little goaltending.
It's been an uncomfortable game for Mark Clark. We usually refer to him as a bulldog. Tonight, it doesn't look like he has that bulldog's attitude.
Well, you wonder, and it'll be interesting to hear Mark's comments afterwards, if he was affected at all by Hunter getting on 3 times, because he struggled against Higginson all 3 times after that.
Higginson burnt them with a home run with Hunter on base.
And then he walked him twice. So here's the 1-2, and it's fouled back to the left side.
Maybe he's distracted too much when he's on the mound right now. Should maybe just pick up Todd Hundley and go after the hitter.
It'll be a 1-2 pitch to Nieves, and it's inside.
You know, it's tough as a catcher to tell a pitcher to forget the runner on the bases and just concentrate on throwing to the plate, because you have to throw him out. So he has to concentrate on runners on the bases.
And the 2-2 swung on and missed. The side retired, but the Tigers do a little more damage. 2 runs. There were 2 hits. The big one, the triple by Fryman, and at the end of 5 innings in Detroit, it's 5-0 Tigers. Well, if you want to see the Reader's Digest version of this game, make sure to tune in tonight at 11 o'clock. Sports Channel Light. Show you the whole kit and caboodle in a half hour. Bernard Gilkey takes a strike from Justin Thompson to begin the 6th inning. Mets trailed by 5 yesterday in Pittsburgh and came back to win, but Justin Thompson is a tough customer. He's ahead of Gilkey now, 0-2.
They're going to have to find the combination to unlock Justin Thompson. He's been dominating so far.
Well, think about this now. In the long history of the Detroit Tigers, which dates back before the century, the turn of this century, only really 2 very good left-handed starting pitchers have ever worked here. Cruz throws out Gilkey for the first out. Mickey Lolich pitched briefly for the Mets at the end of his career, won 207 games. And the Hall of Famer Hal Newhouser, who will have his number retired towards the end of July, won 200. But those are the only 2 long-standing, outstanding left-handed pitchers who have ever pitched for the Detroit Tigers. How about that?
Yeah, that's an amazing stat. Of course, Mickey Lolich will probably not get in the Hall of Fame. Hal Newhouser is in the Hall of Fame. In fact, I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Newhouser the other day. In fact, Ralph Kiner told me that he faced Hal Newhouser prior to going into the armed forces, and he thought, I'm never going to play in the big leagues, the stuff this guy has.
On the outside corner to Todd Hundley. 0-1 with 1 out here in the 6th inning.
Look at that. He's throwing strikes. He's had that double play ground ball going also.
0-2 to Hundley.
Hundley hit a home run in yesterday's ball game from the right side of the plate. It was a hanging breaking ball. Hit it over the right field wall in Pittsburgh.
It's only the 2nd of his 19 home runs that have come as a right-handed batter.
Just doesn't face enough left-handers. If he faced more left-handers, he'd be okay from there. In fact, he's okay now, but he'd be more proficient from the right side of the plate.
And the 0-2 from Thompson in the dirt.
You know, talked about how Met players would have reports on Thompson. Also, Bobby Valentine has videotapes of the opposition, which I think is a great idea, but you still have to go to the plate. You have to see the pitcher stuff. You can talk about him all day, but you have to look at the stuff. You have to see his fastball, the movement on his fastball, his breaking ball, his changeup.
Met players will watch some of that video on charter flights on the way home. Bobby's got several portable videotape machines, and players will look at them from their seats. Well, it was 0-2 to Hundley, but now the count is full.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, you got the video, you might as well use it, put it to practical use. Carlos Baerga was talking to me before the ball game. He said he knows Justin Thompson by watching him pitch on TV.
Off speed, the breaking ball on the inside corner froze Hundley.
This is masterful pitching right here from this left-hander. The only thing that would concern me, Howie, as you mentioned earlier, he's had some arm problems in the past. He's a young left-hander. Boy, that's a nice curveball. He has an overpowering fastball. How about this hook? Early in the game, if he struggles with his curveball, he usually will stay away from it, but he's had it tonight. Yeah, even Todd Hundley said, wow.
Fastball away, 1-0 on Butch Husky. And Todd has no doubt learned to respect Justin Thompson in a hurry. He's got him swinging and looking. 1-1 now to Butch.
He struck him out with a great straight changeup his first time up. And then he walked him, and in this at-bat, he struck him out. Outstanding curveball.
Mets trailing 5-0 here in the 6th inning. Thompson has allowed just 3 hits, all singles. And a number out in front of the plate, Casanova with time. And the side retired. Strong inning for Justin Thompson. The Mets go in order. And in the middle of the 6th, it's 5-0 Tigers.
Mets Baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Talk about getting close to the players here at Tiger Stadium. The relief pitchers sit right against the wall here, and if you're a fan, you could reach out and talk like to Derek Wallace or Juan Acevedo. They can probably hear me, but you know, they don't want to show the rabbit ears that they can actually hear what I'm saying. But a lot of fans here. You got Tiger fans, and you got some Met fans here. Chris Kaczynski was talking to us before the game. Now, you're originally from the East Coast, but relocated out here, Chris?
Oh, yeah. I came out here. I just wanted to get a little bit better weather. You know, it's not as snowy over here. It still get 4 seasons, but it's not all snow.
But still a big-time Mets fan.
Oh, born and bred. Born and bred. Always be a Mets fan. Can always be a Mets fan. No, Tigers.
And we got Tiger fans talking trash here. This guy's strong with his loyalties, fellas.
So I guess then the only time it snows in Detroit is when I come in here to do a hockey game. It seems like there's always snow on the ground when I'm in here during the winter. One out as Casanova pops to Baerga, and a pitch inside to Damian Easley. All Tigers so far. Mark Clark has only won one of his last 6 starts. And that's hit deep to left by Easley. You can forget it. The 3rd home run tonight off of Clark, and it's 6-0 Detroit. So Damian Easley with his 11th home run of the year, and the Tigers extend their lead.
Okay, this ball club right here isn't that far away from being a contending ball club. The Detroit Tigers, as Howie mentioned, they had a very bad season last season, but this year they are looking a lot better.
Davy Cruz takes a strike from Clark.
Well, Mitch Modell, if Modell's used to hit him like this in New York when he was a kid. Look at this ball is crushed off the Coca-Cola sign in left field.
And that's hit to left center. Davy Cruz has his first hit. And the Tigers now with 8 hits off of Mark Clark. And that'll get somebody up in the Mets bullpen. Joe Crawford was up before, and Crawford gets up again.
Well, you see our Jeep Eagle mid-game recap. Justin Thompson, boy, I'll tell you one thing. He is in complete control. He looks real good, Bob. Higginson hit a 2-run home run. Brian Hunter, who's the batter now, with 3 singles and 2 steals.
And there's Joe Crawford. Called up after yesterday's game. Sean Gilbert was also activated, so Ricardo Jordan and Steve Beazer were sent to the minor leagues. Inside to Brian Hunter, 1-0. That's a strike, 1-1 on Brian Hunter.
If you just tuned in, that dirt all over Brian Hunter's uniform is because he was diving back into first base quite a bit.
Hunter has stolen 2 bases off of Mark Clark tonight. And now they're paying attention to Davy Cruz over at first. Tied him up. It's 1-2.
You know, I like that when you said 2 bases off Mark Clark. He stole the 2 bases off Mark Clark.
I was waiting for your response.
Yeah, I like it when you don't mention the catcher, because the first time he stole second base, Todd Hundley made a bad throw. The second throw was a good throw.
But he didn't have much of a chance the first time anyway. It was an off-speed pitch, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And Hundley can't get that one. So Cruz winds up at second on the wild pitch thrown by Mark Clark.
Well, all you can do is get over there and try to keep the ball in front of you. That ball's a split finger pitch, and it bounces hard and bounces real hard off Todd Hundley over by the Met dugout.
So it has not been a good outing for Mark Clark, and an uneasy at bat here for Todd Hundley behind the plate.
This is an uncomfortable game for Mark Clark and for Todd Hundley. I'm sure it's uncomfortable for Bobby Valentine, but he'd never tell you that.
Ooh, Baerga can't come up with it. Holding at third is Cruz. So after the wild pitch sends Cruz to second, that should be an error on Carlos Baerga.
Well, they gave him an error, but if we take a look at it again, you'll see Baerga going to his left, and it takes a tricky hop, and his feet get all tangled up. Ball took a tricky hop going back to his right, but he was heading to his left. Watch this. Look at the feet.
Well, that's in the Red Foley manual. Tangled feet equal error. That's the formula.
That red is tough this year. So we're in Detroit. The official score here in Detroit ruled it an error, but Baerga was going to his left, and the ball took a little bit of a funny hop moving back to his right, but he should have come up with the ball and threw Hunter out at first. Hunter right now has got to steal a base.
Now Bob Apodaca is on his way to the mound. That conference was just to buy some time for Joe Crawford. And the Mets will make a pitching change here, trailing 6-0. And the Tigers, with one out, have runners at the corners. So Joe Crawford, just recalled yesterday after going 8-2 at Norfolk, back for his second tour with the Mets, answering this call to the bullpen, sponsored by Omnipoint. Mark Clark done for the night as Bobby Valentine and Bob Apodaca go to the bullpen, and Joe Crawford answers the call. For Crawford, his first appearance for the Mets since the home opening doubleheader at Shea Stadium against the Giants on the 13th of April. Crawford did lose a game earlier this year. That was at Dodger Stadium in LA, the 15-inning game back on the 7th of April. But for Mark Clark, the bubble burst tonight somewhat early, too. Higginson's two-run homer in the first inning also gave up homers to Casanova and Easley.
Yeah, Easley hit a ball off a sign right now. It's the Armatron sign out there in left field. Those signs are taking a beating here in Detroit.
So Joe Crawford will deal with Bobby Higginson. Higginson a home run, and he's walked twice. And the off-speed pitch for a strike. Brian Hunter, don't forget, on first base again with a chance to steal for the third time tonight. Davy Cruz, the runner at third, as you see Higginson get set. And that's it in the air to right field and deep. Ochoa for a look. That's a gunner. Welcome back to the major leagues, Joe Crawford. A three-run homer for Higginson. And the Tigers have broken this one wide open. 8-0 Detroit. Pardon me, 9-0 Detroit. The home run by Easley, followed by the three-run homer by Higginson.
Well, it's one of those ball games. Yogi once said it ain't over till it's over.
Well, 9 runs down against Justin Thompson. Looks like more than a difficult proposition for the Mets tonight. A fastball for a strike to Fryman. Well, Crawford effectively, or in this case ineffectively, replaces Ricardo Jordan, ineffective at least for this one batter, meaning Higginson. Ricardo Jordan sent down yesterday with his earned run average of 5 and change, and he wasn't happy about it. What was he thinking about? He didn't get anybody out. Ricardo Jordan basically has failed in 2 separate stints with the Mets this year. And now a check swing by Fryman, 0-2. So Joe Crawford up to replace him as another left-hander in the bullpen. Crawford had been starting exclusively at Norfolk. Showed you the 8-2 record. That was in 14 games. They were all starts. And the breaking ball gets Fryman. 2 men away.
Well, Brian Higginson's had a big night. 2-run home run in the first inning, 2 walks, and look what he does his 4th time up. He goes out, takes a pitch that was really out of the strike zone, and hits it over the wall here at Tiger Stadium. 3 more RBIs, so he has 5 on the night.
Also scored 3 runs. Crawford comes back to get Fryman. Now he goes after Tony Clark, a switch hitter, who turns around to the right side. Eight of the 9 runs charged to Mark Clark.
What a night for Bobby Higginson. He's just getting the head of the bat on the ball and hitting the ball over the right field wall. It's been a real tough night for Mark Clark. It was a struggle from the first pitch.
3-0 on Tony Clark.
How about Tony Clark? 20 home runs, 70 RBIs.
Third in the American League in that category. Takes a strike, 3-1.
He played some very good basketball in Arizona and San Diego State, and our producer Steve Dams talked about him in April, talking about his ability.
Played for Lute Olson at Arizona. No idea who he played for at San Diego State.
Well, you know who was an outstanding basketball player at San Diego State? Tony Gwynn.
I think he picked the right career, though. Gwynn did.
So did Tony Clark.
So the walk to Clark will bring Bob Hamlin back to the plate. Hamlin nothing out of 3 tonight. And the curve taken for a strike.
You see those hands moving on that bat. He showed you that shot last time Hamlin was at the plate. As a hitter, you got to be completely relaxed. That adds to your quickness. That's where you generate your bat speed. If you're too tense, slow back. Like that glove you have in your hand right now. We can take a look at Hamlin's hands. I'll see he's trying to relax. Ernie Banks used to do that.
Well, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Well, there's no guarantee if you have relaxed hands, you're going to the Hall.
Hit the other way, a base hit for Hamlin. Clark turns second as Everett comes up with the ball. And the throw comes into third. Runners at the corners with 2 men out. And when Melny Avis steps in, the Tigers will have batted around.
Well, if you're going to get it out of your system, you might as well get it completely out of your system. And it's a 9-zip with 2 outs. See those hands? They're relaxed. He goes out. Hits the ball in the left field. It's amazing. This game of baseball, the only way you can play it, no matter what position you play, you've got to be completely relaxed.
Hit hard to center. In comes Johnson, but he has to play it on a hop. 10-0 Detroit. RBI single for Melny Avis as Hamlin stops at second. Well, nothing doing in the Mets bullpen. Joe Crawford's got to get himself out of this fix.
Yeah, when you go in a game like this, it's a hold-'em situation. Bobby Valentine has to protect his bullpen, and you pretty much sacrifice a pitcher. Now, if you're the pitcher, you kind of try to fight off the sacrifice. You want to hold them. But if you don't hold them, you're in trouble.
And another reason I suppose nothing will be doing down there for a while is that there won't be a situation that will arise where Bobby Valentine has to pinch hit for a pitcher.
That's right.
You're in the American League here, kids. No pitchers.
Well,
go to the plate.
Bobby's concerned about keeping his team rested. That's why he moves players in and out of the lineup. So you know he wants to protect that bullpen, keep them strong.
Well, Casanova has a home run tonight. Fouls this pitch off. Craig McMichael. Looks like he's going into the witness protection program there.
That's really a bad place to watch a game from. See those other guys sitting out there on the bench? That's good unless there's a line drive hit there. Now, McMichael's completely protected by the cage.
Tell you what, he's my kind of guy. In the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike to Raul Casanova.
Plus, if you have to sneak some food in the bullpen, the place to do it is right there.
You can get about anything in there.
Have a steak dinner.
You get the buffet table in there. Wouldn't know it.
He's chewing. I'm assuming it's gum.
You'd have that whole buffet like about waist high there.
It's about as big as the visitors' clubhouse.
10-0 Tigers here in the 6th. Tigers batting around. Casanova, the 10th hitter to come up in this inning. They sent 7 to bat in the 5th inning. So it has clearly been all Tigers. Casanova loops one the other way. Now it drifts a little bit. So does Ochoa. But the side finally retired as the Tigers put up a 5 spot. 3 of them on Higginson. 2nd home run of the night. And in the end of 6, double digits for the Tigers.
Well, there's a break in the action. Ought to be a great time for the great taste of Bud Light. It's a big hit with fans everywhere because it won't fill you up and it never lets you down. So make it a Bud Light.
Carl Everett takes ball 1 from Justin Thompson, who has himself a 10-run cushion. Everett walked, rounded into a double play. Pulls it back, 1-1. Mets have managed only 3 singles off of Thompson. Baerga, Alfonso, and Ochoa. He's way out in front there.
This has been a mismatch so far. This Thompson has really dominated tonight, getting all of his pitches over and throwing that fastball very hard.
Fastball away, 2-2.
But you know, it's funny how anytime you mention, and we've mentioned this tonight, that he's had arm problems in the past, you're always leery of the future.
And don't forget, we mentioned before that he took a more conservative route to try and get the arm better. He had elbow and shoulder problems, but didn't have surgery. And Everett hits that to right field. Nieves covers some ground, and there's 1 out.
Well, I think he did the right thing there. He's proven that he was right by allowing Mother Nature to take her course, because he's throwing hard and he's healthy. You don't want to go under the knife if you don't have to. You don't have to be, if you don't have to be scoped, you don't want to be scoped.
Well, down by 10, Bobby Valentine wants to rest some people now. At least he does Carlos Baerga. And so Jason Hartke will be a pinch hitter for Carlos. Hartke's been something of a revelation for the Mets.
Well, Bobby Valentine believed in some of these guys in the minor leagues, and they've come through for him in the big leagues.
Well, our Sabre fan already has 1 souvenir tonight. That was the home run by Casanova. You saw him pound the ball into his glove. 1-0 to Jason Hartke. He's looking for another one, isn't he? We got to get that guy a contemporary Sabres jersey, though. Although I like the original one. 2 balls, no strikes on Hartke. I remember talking to Bobby Valentine about Hartke at the end of last season, because Jason got some playing time after Bobby Valentine was called up, and check swing there. It's 2-1. I said, does he remind you at all of Wally Backman? Not so much in terms of production, but in terms of style. And he thought about it, and he said, no. But,
that's a bad story.
Well, no. But there's more to it.
Two bad stories tonight, Howie.
Well, no. Tony Clark will take it himself. You see, you always have to build to a climax.
Okay, I'm ready.
And I'm sure
take me.
You probably thought that Bobby was going to say, oh, yeah, he's a dead ringer for him. But what he did admit to, there were some similarities. The way he runs, the type of ball that he plays, a certain hustle and a certain drive that players of his size have to exude. But in terms of production, he says, no, Wally Backman was a much better hitter than Jason Hartke will be in all likelihood for however long a major league career that he had. But what Bobby did say was that on style, you get some points for the comparison. So it wasn't a complete washout.
No, you redeemed yourself. I like the last part of that story.
2 out, nobody on for Alex Ochoa. Well, some players just tend to remind you of other players, and it's always good to go to someone who has had them both, either at the major or minor league level, to get a comparison.
Well, it certainly helps some of these players that they played for Bobby Valentine in AAA.
Ochoa thought about it, but laid off. It's 1-2.
I'll tell you, it helped me when I was in the minor leagues. I played for Jack McKeon, and I ended up playing for him in the major league. So I know that that will help. It can also hurt you playing for a guy in the minor leagues. You know, he can make a decision on you, and that could be it for your career.
No swing, says Terry Kraft. It's 2-2.
But Bobby Valentine has an open mind, as I mentioned earlier, never criticizes his players in public. I'm sure he does as a manager behind closed doors.
Still 2-2 to Ochoa. First of a 3-game series between these teams. First time they've ever met in regular season play, of course, although many times before the Mets and Tigers have played exhibition games in Florida. Tigers training in Lakeland, and the Mets for a long time in St. Petersburg, not too far from Lakeland. 10-0 Detroit. It's made a lot of fans here in Tiger Stadium smile. A lot, probably not the right term. There aren't a lot of them here. But of those who are, most of them obviously happy with things. How about this now? The Tigers averaging a little over 14,000 in attendance. They figure their attendance would jump last week when the Yankees came in featuring Cecil Fielder, the popular former Tiger, and it did. They played to about 3 people per game on average, higher than usual. Full count now to Ochoa.
Yeah, they booed Cecil here.
They averaged 14,553 and drew 14,556 for the games with the Yankees, or at least on average. So it did go up, and that ball comes down. And as it does, Mel Nieves handles it. 7th inning stretch time, all Tigers.
New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
Well, they're optimistic. Don't forget the Tigers lost 109 games last year. They're 7 under 500 coming in. And the Mets right now thinking wild card first. Couple of games behind the Florida Marlins. And Bobby Valentine with his Mets trailing by 10. As we mentioned earlier, no doubt giving some people some rest. He pulled Baerga for a pinch hitter, but now Matt Franco replaces Alfonso at third. Sean Gilbert just off the DL replaces Lopez at short. And Hartke stays in the game at second base. There's one other change too. That's behind the plate, where Alberto Castillo shuns the hockey style mask, or does he? Yeah, I guess he does. No hockey style mask there, but he'll replace Todd Hundley. Last of the 7th, 10-0 Detroit. And a breaking ball for a strike to Damian Easley, who homered in the 6th inning. And the Tigers scored 5. He's still looking for his 2nd home run catch of the night, that guy.
He was the most animated person in this ballpark tonight. He might get the player of the game.
Jumping wildly after coming up with a home run by Raul Casanova. Way out in front, 1-2. Damian Easley, a former California Angel.
Never really got a big opportunity with the Angels.
Of course, they're now the Anaheim Angels under Disney ownership. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Easley.
How about the play of the game right there? Now look at this. How about this animated character?
Well, now you just tipped us off. Now, is this going to be our post-game Coors Light play of the game?
Oh, it's got to be. Yeah, oh, kidding?
So the suspense is over.
Yes. Give it to him right now.
We usually have a panel of experts vote on that stuff.
You know, you're right. I better wait till the panel votes.
This is electioneering.
We got Steve Danza, producer, John Moore, director. Who else is on that panel? Now, they told us director.
Anybody we ask.
That's right.
Payoff pitch too easily. Looped in the air to right. Ochoa has it. 1 away.
Consider Bobby Mills an expert? Nah.
Yeah, why not? He's part of the crew.
Dave Katz now.
An expert in his own mind. Well, it's about 9:15 Eastern time. And although the lights are shining brightly, there's still some daylight overhead despite cloudy skies hovering over Tiger Stadium. Had some thunderstorms here today. Davy Cruz takes a fastball inside. A little geography quiz for you. What is the westernmost city among major league cities in the Eastern time zone? And the answer, Detroit. And the Tigers, if there is a realignment in baseball, expected to shift to the American League Central. A bouncer, that's a fair ball. Long throw for Franco, and he got it there. Nice play by Matt Franco.
So Franco just coming in the ball game. Alfonso out resting, and a long throw, good strong throw. See Franco end up in foul territory. Score at 5-3. A good time for Bobby Valentine tonight. He took some of his players out. He's very concerned about whether or not they're rested.
John Olerud, for example, not in the lineup tonight, getting some rest, along with those players that Bobby pulled once the Tigers built their 10-0 lead, which is what they own right now. 1-0 to Brian Hunter. Missed the curve, 1-1.
Managers today, the younger managers, seem more concerned with their players not playing every day. Where years ago, the managers were concerned about their players playing every day. It's going to be a tough thing to sell to the players. Of course, when you're winning, you can sell that theory. And both young managers right there, Buddy Bell and Bobby Valentine, feel that players should not play every day. There's a foul ball. Howie's got the glove up. He's under it. Out of play.
Nope. Hit the booth above us.
You got to make one catch tonight.
Well, that's asking a lot. Never mind whether or not they come back here, but you're asking this leather to produce miracles in these hands.
And you get sure hands, and plus you get Reggie's name on that glove. You're in trouble.
Can you believe that? That's how old this glove is. A Reggie Jackson glove. You believe that? 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ask the glove a question, it gives you a crazy convoluted answer.
Look at the glove and the hat. Like the old days when they used to leave the gloves on the field.
Fouled back.
I never understood that. How about back in the 40s, they would leave the glove right on the field. Somebody's got to pick that hat and glove up.
You know what's even crazier than that? And you're absolutely right for those who don't remember or haven't seen that in films. They used to let the photographers on the field. You think we're in trouble back in this booth. Photographers would be kind of lined up behind home plate and up the baseline.
How about the photographers that would do it?
Get it.
I mean, it was incredible. And I asked Ralph Kiner, did you ever hear of a photographer getting hit in the head with a line drive and getting killed? He said no. But I'm telling you, they used to stand right near the batter and the catcher taking pictures.
It was nuts. I'd do one of those sketches. Come up with the comfort of the press box. Here's your picture. And the payoff pitch inside, almost Nick Hunter. And now Brian Hunter has been aboard 5 times. 3 singles, an error, and a walk. And if he's running with a 10-0 lead, there are going to be some angry people in the Met dugout.
Well, now that is an interesting point you just brought up. Okay.
I would be.
Okay, you would be upset. Okay, now let me ask you a question. If you're Brian Hunter, you're hitting around 230, you got to pad those stats. You got to pad your average, and you got to pad stolen bases. You're leading the league in stolen bases. You're paid to steal a base.
Tell you what, if I come up again, I'll be padding my helmet.
Well, the thing is, as a player, should you understand that this guy is trying to make a living, and his fort, or as you say, forte.
No, I've gotten that letter too.
Okay, is stealing a base, and he's got to take advantage of it. You know, it's amazing.
I'd be angry if he did.
It's amazing how up here I'm more objective, huh? Well, if I was down
you're a hero up here.
I would go nuts down there.
But respect must be paid. This man caught a no-hitter in this place.
And took all the credit for it.
Bobby Higginson with 2 home runs in this game. And you have to go to Cecil Fielder last year to find a Tiger who hit 3. It's 1-1 to Higginson. 10-0 Detroit. Inside, 2-1.
But it really is interesting to think about that philosophy. If you're a guy who's paid to steal bases, why should you have to stop stealing bases? Because the opposition tells you to.
Well, he's not running 2-1, and he takes a fastball, ball 3.
Now, on the other hand, I did see guys who would steal a base in situations like this, and they would get their teammates hit with the pitch ball, or they would get hit with the pitch ball.
Well, you know what? You got a 3-game series here. This is the first of 3. Why rile up the opposition any further? In the air to right field and deep. 3 home runs for Bobby Higginson. 12-0 Tigers. There's your Lock Nissan star of the game, too.
Well, what an impressive night. He's got his head down running the bases.
Cecil Fielder hit 3 last year in a game.
It was almost like he hit that home run and wanted to be very shy about it going around the bases. He didn't want to put a show on. But Bobby Higginson with 3 home runs. Was this the longest of the 3? Might have been. He had a good swing in that ball. He had a more of a home run swing in that ball than the other 2. He drops his head. Look at that. Look at this. Dropping his head going around the bases.
That was the old Mickey Mantle look.
Yeah.
Head down, shoulders up.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to show up the Mets. The Mets are getting clobbered right now, 12-0.
Travis Fryman with a soft liner to retire the side. So the Tigers, who have scored in 4 straight innings, have now hit 5 home runs, 3 by this guy, Bobby Higginson. And it's 12-0 Detroit.
New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by the new Dodge. See your local Dodge dealer today.
There's no 13-run rule. This baby's going 9 one way or the other. The Tigers 1 away from the 13, and Bobby Higginson has accounted for 7 with 3 home runs. 1-1 now to Sean Gilbert.
Well, he hit the first home run off a low pitch. Listen to the crowd as he went out to left field. First home run was on a pitch that was down low. Second on a pitch that was almost out of the strike zone. And the third one, a pitch that was up in the strike zone. And he had a home run swing in that third one.
Bobby Higginson, a bona fide power hitter. He hit 26 last year. The 3 tonight give him a total of 12 on the season.
It's interesting the way he jogged around the bases. Not showing anybody up, didn't style. And as you mentioned, how his shoulders up, his head down like the Mick.
Just to say a bona fide home run hitter might be stretching it a bit, but when you have 20-plus home runs like he did, it's not a surprise when you hit the long ball. Ball 4 to Gilbert. In a moment, we'll tell you some big names who have hit 3 home runs in a game versus the New York Mets, but right now we're going to take a trip to wherever Matt Loughlin is hanging out. Matty? I have a feeling Matty's having trouble hearing us. Matty, are you there? Well, he's not, but Justin Thompson is in your picture, having walked Sean Gilbert, leading off the 8th. Lance Johnson with a fly ball, and everything Higginson does now draws a response.
Yeah, and it's going to overshadow what this young left-hander has done. Higginson with 3 home runs in his game, but I think the story here, or a big part of the story, is that young left-hander. He has shut out the Mets so far.
Let me throw some names at you. Stan Musial, Willie McCovey, Billy Williams, Richie Allen, Pete Rose, Dave Kingman. They have all hit 3 homers in a game against the Mets.
How about Pete Rose?
Not, of course, a power hitter.
That surprise you?
Nothing Pete Rose did on a baseball field surprised me.
What about Tuffy?
Well, now I was getting to the other 2 more obscure names, each with the Chicago Cubs. Adolfo Phillips and Carl Tuffy Rhodes. Popped up to the left side by Matt Franco. Travis Fryman grabs it for the 2nd out. Tuffy Rhodes, Carl Tuffy Rhodes, opening day 1994, Wrigley Field in Chicago, about 30 below 0 with a wind chill factor. And Tuffy Rhodes hits 3 home runs off of Doc Gooden. And you called every one of them.
I'll never forget that. That was awesome.
Gilkey, the designated hitter, swings through. It's 0-1. Butch Husky was the DH at Yankee Stadium a couple of weeks ago, and now it's Bernard Gilkey. Slashed foul. Bernard said before the game, well, one good thing about being the DH is now I'm going to be the first Met DH ever. I said, well, you're forgetting about Butch Husky. You know, he says, oh, yeah, he did, didn't he? Well, I was the first Met to hit a home run in an interleague game, right? I said, well, yeah, you had one at Yankee Stadium. I'll give you that. So Bernard trying to look for a positive way to approach something that's brand new to him, being the DH. Oh, and he fouled it right off the noggin of Casanova.
You know, you talked about that series with the Yankees in New York. It was just unbelievable memory. That Yankee Mets series. Here's the foul tip off the mask.
Boom. Hung in all right, though. He's got the goalie style mask. And the 1-2 to Gilkey, right back to Thompson. Well, Justin Thompson will take a shutout into the 9th inning. He has been in command even with this huge lead.
Mets Baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you in part by Aeropostale Specialty Stores, an American tradition since 1987. Visit one of our tri-state locations.
Well, that's the score, 12-zip. With that in mind, there's a break in the action. Ought to be a great time for the great taste of Bud Light. It's a big hit with fans everywhere because it won't fill you up and it never lets you down. So make it a Bud Light. Pearl River, New York.
The Pearl River having some problems figuring out its preference. Well, from the looks of that guy, he's a Met fan. Doesn't look too happy with the way things have turned out so far, and how could he? 12-0 Detroit. Easy to catch a foul ball in this place, much less a home run, as we showed you before. I told you they were in close proximity to the field. You don't often get to talk to the players during the game. Although, again, the dugouts are set farther from the field than they are in most places. I mean, there's a lot of room here, comparatively speaking, in foul territory. Either that or we're just closer to it. Takashi Kashiwada will work the prototypical mop-up inning.
You know, when you're, you see the foul territory there, sometimes...
That's a lot of foul territory.
Oh, absolutely. Not too much behind the plate, though. Yeah, there's still pretty good room behind the plate.
Tony Clark lifts it to short left field, and he's got a base hit. First hit for Clark.
You know, Howie, I've seen some uncomfortable situations in dugouts that are so close to the fans. When, you know, you get a fan who wants to get on a player and he comes down, he looks in the dugout and he starts screaming at the player. You see some uncomfortable things happen. Remember the Yankees in the 70s, how those gentlemen were?
Gentlemen?
Imagine when those people leaned over to yell at that team. Whoa.
Well, I covered that team, as you well know.
I remember you in that clubhouse. Starting all that trouble.
You'd have to look far to find fodder from which to start. Orlando Miller, a pinch hitter for Bob Hamlin. Hamlin in the DH spot. So with the left-hander Kashiwada, Orlando Miller, who came over from the Astros in that big deal during the offseason, that also sent Brian Hunter here, takes a ball. Way out in front, 1-1.
It's funny, this interleague play is emotionally a strain for a lot of people because right now, with this score 12-zip in favor of the Tigers, Met fans have to turn their attention to and pull for the Yankees to beat the Braves. How about that for an emotional problem?
Emotional tug of war for some fans tonight. That game was scoreless in the 7th. Castillo, quick reaction.
You don't want to get beat like the Mets are losing tonight, but if the Mets lose this ball game 12-0 and 10 minutes later they see that the Braves lost tonight, you know what you said, well, you got to forget this game anyways. You got to look ahead to tomorrow.
Bobby doesn't look like he's too concerned about the out-of-town scoreboard right now.
Let me tell you, you got to be in a game like this.
Deep to left by Miller. Hendrick for a look. That's a gunner. Home run derby put on by the Tigers tonight. They have now hit 6 home runs. It is 14-0. Fittingly enough, since the Detroit Lions used to play football here. So a pinch homer for Orlando Miller. And the Tigers have a 2-touchdown lead. Second home run of the year for Miller. And Kashiwada picks up pretty well where Crawford left off. Outside to Mel Nieves. 6 home runs. Now, the Mets hit 5 yesterday in Pittsburgh, and the Tigers have outdone that tonight. Two balls, no strikes. Of course, Kashiwada facing 2 right-handed batters there, giving up a single to Clark, a home run to Miller. Nah, he didn't get it, did he? He didn't get that last home run, but he does have one. But how about Joe Crawford? Now, of course, tonight, kind of a middle mop-up type of job, but ideally the Mets would love to depend on Crawford to get a couple of left-handed batters out. Well, he faced 3 tonight. Higginson twice, 2 home runs. And he also gave up a base hit to Hamlin.
You know, although most people would blow the game off when a team falls 8 or 9, 10 runs behind, you can impress or not impress a manager in a game like this. You mentioned Joe Crawford. You don't think Bobby Valentine's concerned about Joe Crawford getting left-handers out? If he came in and held them, even though you get beat by a big score, you impress the manager. Very important games like this for players to impress the manager.
Nieves out on strikes, 1 man away.
You saw Miller hit that ball over that left field wall, so here it is again. Orlando Miller going out and tattooing the ball now. Orlando Miller trying to impress his manager, Buddy Bell. That home run doesn't mean anything. Maybe Buddy sits in the dugout and says, you know, this kid does have power. I got to get him in the lineup every single day.
Well, I'll tell you one manager that you played for who told me that he could care less what happens in blowout games of this magnitude. The late Billy Martin. When he was managing the Yankees, I can remember asking him about, I believe it was Ken Clay. Remember Kenny Clay, a struggling reliever in the late 70s with the Yankees, and he'd come into a game in circumstances just like this. The outcome basically not in doubt at all. And Clay pitched 2 or 3 pretty good innings, and as he had been struggling recently, I said to Billy after the game, were you encouraged at all by Clay? And I don't think I can repeat verbatim exactly what he said, but in essence what it was is, I could care less what a pitcher does in situations like this because there's no pressure on him whatsoever. But Billy's a guy who wouldn't be impressed at all.
Yeah, the thing is, you're facing major league hitters who are trying to do the job. So there's no pressure on that pitcher, but you're facing those major league hitters. Now, Billy, you know, there's a chance Billy probably didn't like me. No, Clay.
Or Clay.
Yeah, no, he did. I'm sure he liked you very much, but if he didn't like Clay, then he's not going to say anything good no matter what Clay does. But Bobby Valentine, I'm certain, with an open mind about his players, and as we mentioned earlier, would never criticize his players publicly, and I think he's done a fine job with the Mets.
And not so incidentally as you look at Jose Bautista getting loose. Is Justin Thompson not going to get a chance to go out and pitch the ninth?
I'll tell you, that he's a big part of this game. He is the major story in this game.
It's popped up by Casanova into short center field, and Lance Johnson makes the catch for the second out.
Well, it's been pretty hot and humid, but if you like your coffee, chill out this summer with a Dunkin' Donuts Coffee Coolada, a thick and frosty new taste sensation just in time for the summer. Try one today at participating Dunkin' Donuts shops throughout the tri-state area. Try 2 or 3 of those donuts.
I should say Billy Martin's probably the only manager I ever heard respond to a question like that the way he did, by saying he was completely unfazed and unimpressed by what one of his players did under blowout circumstances. Virtually every other manager, whether he meant it in his heart or not, would say on the record, yeah, I liked his work today, showed me something or whatever. Not Billy, not that night, not with Ken Clay. 1-1 to Damian Easley.
Well, it's amazing how it has all changed, and I'm telling you right now, there are some managers who you can impress in a situation where, say Orlando Miller hits the ball and Buddy Bell says, wow, you know what? I'm gonna give him more playing time. He's hitting the ball hard. I mean, your good managers are even watching batting practice. I mean,
you know,
Billy missed it a few times, batting practice. Right?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Otherwise disposed, I suppose. But I'm thinking of something here now.
Yeah.
Does this relate to you personally? You get into a game where maybe you hadn't caught in 10 days. Team may be getting blown out, not because of your calls behind the plate, of course, and maybe you get 2 hits and you say to your manager, hey, pretty good, huh? Don't I deserve more time?
You didn't say that. You didn't say that to managers. But you would try. Major League players try their best. They're not giving up. I'll guarantee you.
Well, will Bautista take over from Thompson? It certainly looks that way. He'll try and hold a 2-touchdown lead.
Here we are at the home stretch, brought to you by New York Thoroughbred Racing at Belmont Park. Oh, what a ride.
Well, Justin Thompson will probably not have to sweat anything out here in the 9th inning with the Tigers leading 14-0, but that kid pitched 8 innings, gave up 3 hits, walked 3, struck out 4, and you got to figure he'd have loved the opportunity to pick up the shutout, but Jose Bautista will finish out for the Tigers.
Well, Buddy Bell wants to get Bautista in there, get him some work. I'm sure Justin Thompson would have preferred going out there throwing a 9-inning complete game shutout. But Buddy Bell needed to get the reliever some work. So with that in mind, Ollie, can Bautista impress Buddy Bell in a game like this?
Well, I think Buddy would have a somewhat different take than Billy Martin did. 1 ball, 1 strike on Castillo. Castillo batting against a former New York Met farmhand. Two balls, 1 strike. Bautista signed by the Mets as a non-drafted free agent in 1981, and then they lost him to the Orioles in the Rule 5 draft back in 1987. Also pitched with the Cubs and the Giants. Thompson does not have a complete game shutout in the major leagues.
This has been a good one for him. You know, there's been a lot of complaints about pitchers not pitching 9 innings.
Easy play for the shortstop Cruz, and there's 1 out in the 9th.
Maybe the finger should be pointed at managers not allowing pitchers to pitch 9 innings.
Well, it's a whole different philosophy now.
So you got to stop complaining about pitchers not pitching 9 innings of complete game shutouts.
Well, I'm not complaining. If he has anything to say, we'll read it in the papers tomorrow, I'm sure. But
well, remember Mark Clark?
That's right.
If you're a professional athlete, you want to stay in the game. Of course, the manager has to manage for the long haul.
Husky, nothing out of 3, takes a strike. Tigers have also elected to rest one of their regulars in the 9th inning, Travis Fryman. So Phil Nevin now playing at third base.
Phil Nevin, a few years back, #1 draft pick in the country by the Houston Astros, fell into disfavor when he refused to play during a strike year. He refused to be a replacement player. And the Astros, who were going to keep him in the major leagues, sent him to the minor leagues. But you see Buddy Bell and the big southpaw, Justin Thompson, and boy, was he impressive tonight.
This entire Tiger pitching staff has done a remarkable turnaround from a year ago, which Husky shooting one down the right field line that hops into the stands, or at least off the facade. So Husky pulls in at second. It's a 2-base hit as opposed to a simple ground rule double.
And this copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and Sports Channel is prohibited.
Well, the Mets with a runner in scoring position. Tiger Stadium seating only 15,009 tonight, as Carl Everett comes in to try and damage the shutout bid. And that's on the outside corner. But I'm starting to say the Tiger turnaround as far as their pitchers are concerned. Last year, the Tiger pitching staff pitched to a ridiculous 6.38 earned run average. This year, they're 6th in the American League at 4.43. I mean, they've shaved more than 2 runs per 9 innings off of last year. Well, almost anyway.
How about John Matlack, one of your favorite pitchers with the Mets, was the pitching coach last year, replaced by Rick Adair. Matlack was reassigned in the Tiger organization.
But I mean, just about 2 runs for 9 innings. It's a big turnaround. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out in the 9th. Everett held his swing. And the count 2-1. Mets and Tigers right back at you tomorrow. We'll have it for you on Sports Channel, same time as tonight. Bobby Jones will face Brian Moeller. Rick Adair standing, the pitching coach.
You know, Howard, you were talking about managers. Of course, the Tigers, you mentioned Billy Martin, who was a great manager for the Yankees and many other teams. He managed here in Detroit. Of course, the guy who managed a long time in Detroit should go in the Hall of Fame, Sparky Anderson.
I think when it's, I guess, basically the career is over for Sparky, people will think more of him with the Reds, don't you think?
You know, it's amazing, yes, but I believe he managed longer here.
He did.
How about that? He had that big red machine. And you're right. When you think of Sparky Anderson, you think of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, Carl Everett grounds out. Husky going to third, and now the Mets down to their last out with Jason Harkey coming up. Moeller, a right-hander, so is Bobby Jones, as Bobby looks for his 13th win of the year. Tomorrow night, Wednesday afternoon, the remaining games of this 3-game series, the first ever in regular season play between the Mets and the Tigers. So Husky on third with 2 out, and Harkey takes ball 1. So 1-0 to Harkey. Rides inside. You might suggest burn the tape, but Bobby will use it as a teaching tool, I'm sure, at least for individual at-bats, be they from pitchers to hitters or vice versa. 2-2 now to Harkey.
Harkey in his ball game now playing second base for the Mets. As you look at Jason Thompson, Justin Thompson, I should say, an outstanding job by the big left-hander tonight. Carlos Baerga started the ball game at second base for the Mets. Well, that's a story right there. That big left-hander pitched very well tonight.
3-1 now to Harkey. Also did Pedro Martinez in the first all-Canadian game in baseball history, with Martinez and the Expos beating the Toronto Blue Jays 2-1. And the 3-1 to Harkey. Fouled back to the screen, and the count full. So the 15,002 here at Tiger Stadium, or 15,009. Can't forget those 7 in the right center field bleachers. Up and cheering. On the outside corner, the ball game is over. So the Tigers get their shutout. Justin Thompson gets his 8th win, but not the complete game shutout. And there's the star of the show, Bobby Higginson. 3 of the Tigers' 6 home runs tonight in their 14-0 win.
He did a fine job swinging that bat. Hit a home run his first time up. A pitch that was down in the strike zone. Then hit a ball that was almost out of the strike zone for his second home run. And for his third home run, the ball was out over the plate. He drove it over the right center field wall. But there's the big story right there. The big left-hander, and we're going to talk some more about him.
The Tigers by 14. We'll be back.
Essentially, those numbers tell you all you need to know about this game, but it's how those numbers are built that make the post-game scenario somewhat interesting, because you start talking about people like Bobby Higginson, who had 3 home runs. The Tigers hit 6 in all. And I know from the things you said all night, you're taking the work of Justin Thompson away from this game more so than the bat of Higginson, huh?
The only numbers on that television screen that meant anything, the 0 and the 4. He allowed 4 hits. He threw a shutout through 8 innings. Probably would have thrown a shutout through 9 innings, but he set the stage. And you're an offensive player, so I'm going to go with you. I'll go with those home runs.
All right, so for what it's worth, Bobby Higginson, the no doubt about it story of the ball game. Higginson hitting 3 home runs. Let's take them in order.
In the first inning, you see Mark Clark down low with the fastball, moving away. Higginson goes down and hits the ball up in the air. That's what you got to do here in Detroit, to the right side, and it's a home run. That's his first one in tonight's ball game. Now in the 6th inning, to me it looked like this ball might have been a little bit off the plate. He went out there, extended those arms once again to right field. Now his 3rd home run in the 7th inning. This ball was up in the strike zone, and the left-hander takes this ball. That's a home run swing right there. Now look at him drop his head. He knew the ball was gone. He doesn't want to show anybody up. Drops his head. Howie mentioned, reminds you a little bit of Mickey Mantle. And he's our Nissan star of the game. 3 home runs for the Tiger left fielder. What a night for Bobby Higginson.
14 for the Tigers, nothing for the Mets. We'll be back. All Tigers tonight, the arm of Justin Thompson, the bat of Bobby Higginson, 6 home runs in all. Detroit winning 14-0. And before we sign off, Fran, I figured you had all game to think about any loose ends you might want to kind of tie up as we get set to send it down to Matt Loughlin. So, anything you want to add to this?
A couple of things I'm very, very concerned about is we were relying on Howie Rose to catch any foul balls up here, and that's my major concern. Also, a couple of bad stories tonight. Look at that glove.
What do you want 14-0? Dr. Seuss? You know, you got to just spread them out a little bit. Well, we have Matt Loughlin standing by downstairs, so Fran and I'll see you tomorrow night. And right now, Fran has, or at least Matty does, the star of the game, Bobby Higginson. Gentlemen?
Well, it was an easy choice, Howie. Bobby Higginson with the big night, 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in. And Bobby, congratulations and welcome back from the disabled list.
Thank you. Today was the first day I felt good since I've been coming off. You know, my timing was off in Boston a little bit, and today I came to put it all together, and I felt real good.
All right, now, on your 3rd home run, it was clear after you hit it right away you knew it was gone. But had your head down, looked a little bit like Mickey Mantle running around the base pass. How come?
Well, I know last year we had such a tough time, and we were getting beat up just like this every day last year. And, you know, it wasn't fun to be out in the field and going through this. So, you know, I knew it was going when I hit it. I just wanted to, you know, get around the bases and get the game over with and, you know, get back in the locker room.
Well, he didn't want to show anybody up, but he showed his stuff with the 3 home runs tonight for Bobby Higginson and the 7 runs batted in. You were also telling me during the commercial break that Brian Hunter being on ahead of you helped an awful lot.
No question about it. I mean, you know, he's the leading base stealer in this league, and when he gets on base, the pitcher's got to be aggressive and throw fastballs just to give the catcher a chance to throw him out. So, you know, if they try to pick with the fastballs and they're not throwing strikes, I can pretty much sit up there and look fastball right down the middle, and that's what I was getting today. And I told Brian right after the game, I said, you know, I hit 3 home runs, but it was mostly because you being on base helped, and that's been the first time I felt like that all year.
You were born and raised in Philadelphia, still remain an off-season residence there. Did you grow up a Phillies fan?
Big Phillies fan. You know, I still remain a Phillies fan. I check the box scores out. My good friend Terry Francona is the manager over there, having a tough time. So, you know, I always wish the best for him.
So are you a fan, then, of interleague play, or would you prefer that the National League always stay playing NL teams and the AL playing AL?
You know, I really enjoy it because, you know, I don't think if the Mets were here, we'd have a crowd like this today. I mean, you know, they want to see the different style of baseball over here, and it's a more aggressive style. The games go a lot quicker, and I really enjoy playing in National League ball clubs. I mean, we got a tough schedule playing the Expos and the Marlins and the Mets, but, you know, it's still exciting and fun, and I have a lot of fun, and I enjoy it.
Well, when you have a night like this, it's always fun. Bobby Higginson, congratulations on a big night. 3 for 3 tonight, 7 runs batted in, the star of this hitting explosion by the Detroit Tigers. We're going to take a short time out. We'll come back to Tiger Stadium right after this. Well, back at Shea, they have Dynamet Stash. I don't know if they call this the Tiger Trot or what, but the young fans get a chance to walk or run around the base paths here at Tiger Stadium. And I'm just walking along with the crowd, young and old, enjoying an opportunity to run around the base paths. And obviously, if they're Tiger fans, they enjoyed tonight's ball game. A whitewash for the Mets, 14-0. They get bombed by the Tigers here. Our Coors Light play of the game occurred in the 4th inning. And you know we picked a home run. Raul Casanova with a blast to left field, but it's the fan we want to highlight. He was wearing a Buffalo Sabres jersey. The old one, as Howie Rose aptly pointed out. But after he grabbed that home run, boy, it was a race up and down. A happy camper tonight out in left field. A lot of happy campers here in Tiger Town as Detroit takes game 1 of this 3-game set, shutting out the Mets by a score of 14-0. We'll have some more right after this.
New York Mets baseball on Sports Channel has been brought to you by your Tri-State GMC dealers. By Nobody Beats the Wiz. For state-of-the-art home electronics, computers, cameras, music, movies, and more, nobody beats the Wiz. By the Coors Light Wide Mouth Cam. Tap the Rockies with a smoother pour. And by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Nissan dealers, who remind you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to the Sports Authority postgame show, everyone. I'm Matt Loughlin. The Mets fall tonight to the Tigers by a score of 14-0. Mark Clark just didn't have it tonight. Justin Thompson had it, though, for Detroit. The rookie was outstanding. The big question, though, why the heck didn't he get a chance to complete this game? Jose Bautista came on in the 9th inning. The score was 14-0. Come on, give the kid a chance for the shutout and the CG. But Buddy Bell instead went to the bullpen. Anyway, all's well that ends well for Detroit as they come up with the victory tonight.
Mets memory is brought to you by your friends at Sports Channel. Bud Prominski had the shortest stint in Met history. Before a career-ending shoulder injury, he threw just one pitch.
I'll never forget that pitch. I shook off a few signs. Going into my windup, I hurled it in. It was called outside for a ball. Just a tiny bit outside, mind you. No more than a fraction of an inch. It could have gone either way. Definitely a judgment call by the ump. Matter of fact, Rudy the bat boy told me he's positive it was a strike.